a few children, you won't put money aside for yourself, you'll see what will happen to you. And because we are sitting there, we are looking at our kids like you, and even feeling sorry for you, that people can't even find your feet. And so we took those decisions to put monies away for ourselves, to take care of our medication, our bills, our food, and even sometimes to even help our children when we have to. So it's very frustrating. And this is your own money that you put away. It's a different thing if I'm broke and I'm coming to beg for money. But my own money, now I feel like I'm begging somebody to dash me money. And it's not a good feeling.
I was advised that the safest, the coolest place was to invest it with the states, with the government, in what I was told was called bonds. And so this is what I did. And from it, I was told that there will come something they call coupons. I even didn't know. Coupons which were in the form of interest, somehow, quote unquote. With that, medications and so on, I still have my mother alive. And some other responsibilities. I could look after them. And up till now, after over 38 years service to the country, that my little money is not being paid. You see? And it has not been paid. So if you're asking, when am I expecting it? I don't know. I don't know. And I think the one that I swore allegiance to, that is the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, the President, I think it is high time he steps in. So that whatever allegiance that I swore to him, he will also honor his part.
I sincerely understand and appreciate where you are coming from. This has never happened, where coupons are ready for payment or are due for payment and government has refused to pay. But currently, we all know the circumstances in which we find ourselves. And I'll plead with you, let's sit and clear the five, and then we'll see the way forward. So respectfully, I'll ask that...
Let's begin.
Yes.
You see, we have now planned our gathering here in a manner that will allow government some space to operate. We all know what is happening. So when we meet here today, we are meeting tomorrow. Monday, we won't come. Tuesday, we won't come. Wednesday, we won't come, to give you the opportunity to start paying me. If by Wednesday we have seen that you have started paying, we won't come on the Thursday. But if by Wednesday evening we haven't seen any alert system working, then Thursday we are coming here. So today we'll be here, tomorrow we'll be here because we haven't seen anything. We will give you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to initiate the payment. Once we see that the payment have started flowing in, we will not come here on the Thursday. Because until we see something, that is it. That's the decision we have taken, that until we see payment, nothing will move us from here. That one, because we have done it. We have moved from here based on these promises, and it's not coming. But so now we give you that time. Within the week, every Monday, a coupon or two may mature, depending on the days. Last Monday, there were 2 coupons. The previous Monday, there was 1 coupon. You don't know. Some days 1, some days 2, depending on the. So if the coupon matures on Monday, due on Monday, we won't talk. We will think that if government want to pay, the instructions will be given and something will be done that Monday. If it wasn't done, Tuesday we'll see a sign. If it wasn't done, Wednesday we'll see a sign. If Wednesday we haven't seen a sign, then we take it that government is unable to pay, and then we come here on the Thursday. So that room is there for you. So today and tomorrow we are here. Monday we will give you the opportunity to pay, to start paying the 15, it will be 6. I don't know what will happen Monday. We are yet to compute what will be due on Monday. Assuming it is even only 1 coupon, it will be 6 on Monday, coming Monday. If we see that action has started on the payment, by Wednesday we have seen some actions, we won't come here on the Thursday. The next week, if actions are doing it, we will also come here. Before I realize, there will be no gathering here.
Let's meet tomorrow, discuss this, and look at the long-term payment for the principal. So I would plead that tomorrow you don't come whilst we meet with you and see how best we can look at things. My father here is shaking his head. But as I speak to you, yesterday we collected, or we were given the coupons that were outstanding that we needed to pay. And then we are in talks with Bank of Ghana. And so I would ask that let's give ourselves tomorrow to have that meeting that you said you wrote to us, but we failed to respond. Let's give ourselves that opportunity to have that meeting. And then I believe that from Monday, you would see some payments being reflected. I sincerely understand and appreciate where you are coming from. This has never happened, where coupons are ready for payment or are due for payment and government has refused to pay. But currently, we all know the circumstances in which we find ourselves. And I'll plead with you, let's sit and clear the five, and then we'll see the way forward. So respectfully, I'll ask that...
Let's begin.
Yes.
You see, we have now planned our gathering here in a manner that will allow government some space to operate. We all know what is happening. So when we meet here today, we are meeting tomorrow. Monday, we won't come. Tuesday, we won't come. Wednesday, we won't come, to give you the opportunity to start paying me. If by Wednesday we have seen that you have started paying, we won't come on the Thursday. But if by Wednesday evening we haven't seen any alert system working, then Thursday we are coming here. So today we'll be here, tomorrow we'll be here because we haven't seen anything. We will give you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to initiate the payment. Once we see that the payment have started flowing in, we will not come here on the Thursday. Because until we see something, that is it. That is the decision we have taken, that until we see payment, nothing will move us from here.
We've put in place a very first-class economic management team. I would even say world-class, because the Minister of Finance, the very known Wall Street banker, investment banker, really high achiever, the former Minister of Finance, who is deputy chair, vice chair of the economic management team, Yao Safo-Mafo, he was voted at one time the best finance minister in Africa by the World Economic Forum, and many others. They're just a solid, capable group of individuals who have come together to manage the team. And we meet every week without fail. And so we have a laser-eyed focus on the economy, and we are taking decisions and making sure we monitor what is going on.
I'm not naive to assume that I'm coming to stop corruption. There is no way I can stop corruption. God himself will not even acclaim to that. But I am going to make corruption very costly, very, very costly to engage in terms of conflict of interest. First, I'm going to institute what I call pressure for progress. And in this question,
what is the difference between the ordinary thief and a political thief? Number one, the ordinary thief steals your money, your bag, your watch, and your jewelry, isn't it? But the political thief steals your future, your career, your education, your health, and your business. Number two, the hilarious part is that the ordinary thief will choose whom to rob. But you are the one who choose the political thief to rob you. Because we choose them, we vote them, we blindly say we are not blind. Who is deceiving who? The ridiculous part of the whole issue is that we will fight to defend and protect our belongings from the ordinary thief. Is it not? But we fight each other to defend and protect the political thief. Is that not what we do? Thugs will be fighting themselves to protect those that are stealing our career, stealing our job, stealing our health, stealing our success. What a shame.
$1, 1 CD. In the time of Mills and Mahama, 2 CDs, $1. If I was them, I would say to the people of Ghana, I'm sorry. We are sorry for the poor work we have done.
Government is broke, government is broke. The people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are 2 types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
Right, hello, good morning, welcome to the show. This is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. It's a Thursday, the 15th day of August, 2024. By His grace, we're live and we're here. We're yet another edition of the show. Our gratitude to God, the Most High God, for the rare privilege of being alive and, of course, the opportunity of having another conversation around the top stories making rounds here in our dear Republic. I'll let you into our panel for the morning's conversation shortly, but let's take a look at the front pages of our newspapers. Daily Graphic. Public lands secure. Minister assures nation. I'll build prosperous nation. Alan Chermatin. Present circumstance must influence your vote. Togbe Afede the 14th. Inflation eases to 20.9% in July. Food inflation also declines sharply. Quantum New Gas committed to cylinder recirculation. GJ is 75 today. Yes. We are 75. The Ghanaian Times. Alleged land grabbing by political class will publish list of public lands. Lands Minister promises, insists public land safe, intact and secure. Kolebu Renal Unit to resume outpatient services next week. Tidal waves wreak havoc at Shama. About 1,000 houses affected. Sea on verge of wiping out Anglon Beach community. Residents call for urgent attention. Ghana Health Service heightens surveillance to detect Mpox cases. Daily Guide. Ghana will be better under my husband, Samira. Release provisional voter register, NDC to EC. Public land safe and secure, Jinapo. You've transformed policing in Africa. WHO declares monkeypox global health emergency. The New Crusading Guide. Government committed to protecting public lands. Lands Minister. Government establishes foundation for job opportunities. Baumia. Effect of climate change. Deforestation is fast-tracking drought in northern Ghana. Resident slams East MC for failing to investigate corruption allegations. Takbom family commends Titus Glover for helping to demolish unauthorized structures in Dodua Forest. Hawa Kumsin inspects strategic projects in Kaswa. The Insight. Danger. Ghana Health Service warns public of a spread of dengue fever as Mpox is declared public health emergency. How Akufo-Addo's government looted Ghana through COVID-19. Manasseh Azuri's new book reveals. Farmers in tears over huge post-harvest losses as World Food Programme estimates Ghana's annual losses at $1.9 billion. Public notice. Lands Commission to cancel or expunge lands registered by Odai Into family of Accra beyond their 1904 boundaries. Fidel Castro, a life of revolution. The Daily Statesman. Public lands well protected under Akufo-Addo, says Lands Minister. Kolebu to receive new dialysis machines. Mahama unhappy with Volta region of MPP's growing popularity. Ameya Kofi urges NPP to revise campaign strategy. Inflation for July down to 20.9%. The Custodian. Mahama cries in Volta over drop in votes. Ghana's inflation drops to 20.9%. Public lands are safe under Akufo-Addo. Jinapo. The New Finder. Wages, jobs to increase as industry sector expands by 6.8%. Deloitte. Quantum, Sage, New Gas refute claims of foreign ownership. Inflation rate slows for fourth consecutive month to 20.9% in July. Rethinking tertiary education services, making private universities in Ghana accessible and affordable. Government set to publish list of public lands leased since 1993. Jinapo. Daily Post. Vice President Bawumia now speaking like an opposition leader because he has failed, says Mahama on day 2 of Volta Region Tour. Ajapadie, Togbi Afede confirms Chebi Mafia have gone after his business. Election 2024, NDC demands the release of provisional voter register. And that's about it for the front pages. We'll be back shortly.
There's no feeling quite like wanting something. You see it when you close your eyes. You feel it against the hairs on your skin. You smell it mingled with the wind. You know it's yours, but you just can't seem to reach it. Until you can. Whatever the dream, we can make it happen. So get up, get started, and make we do
In today's modern world, stairs are a challenge, especially for our elderly and those with health concerns. Navigating them can be difficult and even dangerous, but there's a safer way to move vertically. Lifts and Elevators Limited Company, your answer to a more accessible and secure vertical transportation. Our elevators and escalators, including top-of-the-line pneumatic vacuum elevators, Fuji elevators and escalators, offer a safer and more convenient alternative, eliminating the risks of stairs and enhancing accessibility for homes, businesses, and hospitals. Choose safety and convenience with Lifts and Elevators Limited Company. Elevate your spaces today. For more information, visit our website at www.elevatorsgh.org or call now on 0200-535-515. Lifts and Elevators Limited Company, the elevator people.
Blast. Boom! Exclusively on Betway. Win up to 300% more when you play FlyX with Win Boost from Betway. Betway, get way more.
Anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath.
I'm a fat missy way.
The Pacho Bantama.
Machasi.
That's a cycle.
A smile, the fresh breath.
Me Gidi say we use Kel 360 toothpaste. Some kind. Kel 360 toothpaste.
That's Kia. Kel 360 toothpaste. It's a gum protector.
Onim jom kasa. Kile hosing. Kel 360 did the way. It's cool mint. Gives me fresh breath and your confidence booster.
You will see so feeling when you know Kel 360 toothpaste.
Happy.
Kel 360 toothpaste, anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath. Kel, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
Ama, nansi mi jeno wo bin enkoye kwao. Ama ma ye bohu se kuntomra akija.
Nansi me hu se me nyo basima kura. Ama me kunu me into kwankwa. Oh, you right. And you move. Give us GC mixture and any capsules. Ah, you boom. And want some na more kana. Ebwa emma ene meme nyina. Ne ma wo ba ye obesima. Na bema so aye bemasima. Ya, we be bua wo kunu. Ama ne giant sa wo de hye ne botum. Na wanyinya ne nti sese ne wo yi chokmo. BC mixture, MMA capsule, Ashisa.
A pin for a batter, one more menu for one kwada when if you do me.
Are you looking to own a prime piece of litigation-free land where you can put up your dream family home or your ideal getaway retreat within a luxurious estate? Then look no further. Welcome to Rehoboth Hills, where your dream of hassle-free land ownership comes to life. Acquire land devoid of multiple purchases, litigation, and land guard issues in a safe and secure gated community while enjoying the fabulous night view of Accra from the serene Ebri Mountains. Rehoboth Hills offers spacious plots that provide you with the ideal setting for your dream home and a valuable, safe investment for your future. The lands are located in the prime area of Ayarifa within our residential development Rehoboth Hills, overlooking the city of Accra and the Ebri Mountains. Our prices are very affordable and designed to fit your budget. We offer flexible payment terms, ensuring that you can invest in a valuable asset for the future. Contact us on 0244 764 499 or 0204-950-810 or visit our website at www.rehobothpropertiesgh.com. Rehoboth Properties, quality housing for all.
You're the answer to my prayers. You're with me everywhere. You're my angel, miracle. You're all I need tonight. Give me shelter from the rain. You breathe life in me again. You're my angel, miracle. You're all I need to know tonight.
Yes.
Star 712.
Which others? Come in and greet. Yeah, and you were back in Greece. To say why you fit a millionaire. Yes, the luckiest at Aroma. To say about from Massa Echeman. Yeah. Now check with this. Sister Abna, aka Kogi Hima. The luckiest at Aroma. Queen B.
Yeah.
Boss lady Baku Pen. Hold on to your seats, folks. Such anyway, it'll be you smooth. Way enter your friend will upgrade. Luckiest Nadaroma. And the best part, that with the luckiest, will be or a shot to a good life. And I'm talking to you, me, your girlfriend, your ex, your neighbors, your landlords, and even Goro boys. And no one is over dialing with lucky number. Star 712 hash. No.
Oswald ticket to win in the community draw or the grand draw on the 30th of November 2024. The luckiest is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform, not for persons below 18 years. TNCs apply.
Lima. Kaya azon chenla.
Nchella yulnum ben shakam level voters register map.
Yudini registerable.
Electoral Commission nan yim nati to swell ne so kam le o yul no ben shakam voting register map ni. Bendeng ba silmin gwali August ya pishi dale. Halni silmin gwali August ya pishi na point 2024 ngoni. Sahing ba ga point asbasi. Halni ga yob zawun jaka.
Na do tun njane lehenden zo kumfongo. Oh lehema. Tego.
Dutu na le amam ben shakam voting register map ni. Di malmalnin ga cika ban mallan. Dilatu na mi a polling station. An yangun betu no voti. An to cika ba ye oyule voting register map ni. Adamunda can you to know you voting register money.
Don't know to in user pum
Lima.
Lima.
The tsunami Dapsilma means Sama. Zampa 2024 people Mapolo. Electoral Commission Nimyala Bayan Zang people Bukuma Wosolo Kasokamia. Sahamo ye pie. Yinkang Mamman Kachant Lele Amam. Zangba Silmin Gwali August Biapishi. Hal Nirapishi Ayo point. The Asba Kurga yo point. Hal Nirizawini Kurga Yobu. Ladam Samab. Then Lampai. Ban 7 voti ni toime star 711 star 51 hash. Number no che tangal mizo. Nyanya baben shakam nang dedi. Niko shaban la ben bon komba vote bambe ni to chang yuya sabba shaba fonden. Bamite le baben shakam zo. Electoral Commission tum de benuto swanka le aben shakam zo. Hal aika a vote bambla asan. Muntu vote bi yin usually. Kala nirma ba payum pishi ayika. Be o patang bia. Be o kala o hankal ni. Be so vote bambla ko zang sabi. Be ka fong man nirin yo. On eto yeli ka be yela yule. Prima. A pibu nyaso abia. Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. And I'll let you into our panel for the morning's conversation shortly. But let's step back into time. Just some 15 years. Just 15 years. And you probably had just bought your first mobile phone or sent a text message via the internet for the very first time. Or you just discovered the ease of moving money around conveniently. Think back to all those moments. Momo has been there for you. Guess what? Momo is 15 years old. 15 years old. That's how long we've been doing Momo. Okay. From the very first time you send money to a loved one to paying your bills effortlessly or enjoying the peace of mind that comes with secure, safe, and reliable transactions, it's been an amazing journey so far. Now get ready for some mouth-watering offers as we celebrate Momo at 15. Look out for MTN's market storms and floats near you and win some mind-blowing prizes. Thank you, Ghana, for doing this with us. Download my Momo app on App Store or Google Play and just Momo it everywhere you go. And if you're thinking of getting a toothpaste that will take care of the entire family and save you some money, the recommended family toothpaste is KEL 360 toothpaste. It's approved by the Food and Drugs Authority. KEL 360 toothpaste provides you and your family with all-round dental protection throughout the day with freshness. KEL 360 toothpaste is good for kids, children, and adults. Let your family be a proud family when they step out by constantly using KEL 360 toothpaste. KEL 360 toothpaste brightens your teeth, prevents cavity, and with its cool mint gives you fresh breath throughout the day and protects the gum from decaying. For consistency and quality, use KEL 360 toothpaste. It's another product from Samara Company Limited, producers of Sasso. It's available in all supermarkets, malls, and provision shops. Call Samara Company on 0246 864 798. KEL 360 toothpaste, happy smile. And enjoying the fruits of your labor is as important as enjoying the mansions of your labor. The pains of climbing the stairs while not exercising could be challenging irrespective of your age, but worry no more. Lift and Elevators have got you covered with the best portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators on the market today. It's a simple self-supported elevator for both homes and offices, and guess what? It can lift your goods too. Wheelchairs can fit in and they come in 3 custom-made models. It's affordable and can be installed within 3 days. Visit Lift and Elevators at Sakuma now. Just call them on 0200-535-515 or send a mail to elevatorsgh@gmail.com for consultations and the best solutions in easy vertical movement. Okay. So with me on the show this morning,
I have an economist who's also the head of research at the Dankwa Institute. Dr. Frank Bano is here with me on the show. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, Randy.
Your first time on the show?
Yeah, my first time on the
Whoa,
show.
whoa.
But not the first time in the studios of Metro TV.
Right. You're warmly welcome.
Thank you, Randy.
Right. Also with me on the show this morning is a legal practitioner who's also the National Communications Officer of the NDC, Sami Jemfi. Sami, good morning.
Good morning, Doc.
All right. Okay. And like they say, charity begins at home. Okay. So I'll start with my home. And guess what? We're 75 today. The Ghana Journalists Association is 75 years today. Yes, GJ at 75. And I have with me on the phone the president of the Ghana Journalists Association, Mr. Albert Jumfo. Good morning, Mr. President.
Good morning, Tom. Long time, my brother.
Yes. How are you doing?
Oh, we are alive and kicking. Yes, and greetings to your panelists, especially my good brother Sami.
Okay.
We host me plenty.
Right. I guess they're all listening to you. Now GJ is 75. What should be exciting about this?
Okay. I think first of all, Senior Randy, let me thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and also commend your good self. Some of you, if we talk about trailblazers, you are one of them who have fought to protect and promote press freedom in this country. DJ at 75, and as we all know, let's go back to memory lane so we will get to understand where we are coming from and where we are now. Initially christened as the Africa Press Association, formed by the first president, Osajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, on August 15, 1949. Now, the association has transited and it has transformed through different identities. And from the African Press Association, we moved to the Ghana Press Club, an association of journalists and writers, to its present name, the GBA. And we all know that until 1992, even from 1992, it wasn't easy to practice journalism in this country, especially if you want to be objective and candid. We have to pay homage to our forebears who actually fought for us to see the kind of independence and freedom we are enjoying today. And we have contributed in deepening democracy in this country. We have contributed in ensuring good governance and accountability. We have contributed in a smooth, transparent, fair, incredible elections in this country. We have contributed in changing government from government. This has been the epic role of the media under the 75 years of the GDE. And so for us, we have good memories, we have bad memories. But I would say that we are positive about the fact that at least this is a very big milestone that all of us should be very happy. We all should tap ourselves and say kudos, because when we talk of Ghana media, I can tell you that it's among the top 3 vibrant, proactive media environment in Africa. And even in the world, I can tell you that we are among the top 20. And not using the Reporters Without Borders barometer, which is the World Press Freedom Index. I am telling you, as a member, a steering committee of the Federation of African Journalists, and as the president of the GGA, report we have, and wherever we go, they respect Ghana as the oasis of democracy. And Ghana's media has always been on the head of all media in Africa. And so for us, it is important to remind ourselves that the GGA has come a long way, but even though we still have a long way to go. So, and if you ask me about fond memories, or if you ask me about what it is for us, it is a great day. Diamond Jubilee in the life of even individuals or institutions is not a fluke. It's not something. It's not a joke. And so we are very proud. I, as the leader, am proud that we are actually marking this milestone during my tenure as the president of the GBA. And we have a lot of exciting event and program to mark this 75th anniversary. And I hope that once you are done, you will join us to celebrate that.
Definitely. So just take us through the events to commemorate the 75th anniversary.
Okay, so I think as we speak, we have already done 2 lectures. One lecture was held in Kumasi, KNUST. That was the first lecture, and the second lecture was held in Ho. Now today, the program today to commemorate the 75th anniversary is happening live at the La Palm Royal Beach Hotel this evening, or let me say late afternoon. Exactly 4 p.m. we are all going to converge at the La Palm Royal Beach Hotel to discuss AI and the future of journalism. As we all know, we find ourselves in the digital world, in the digital environment, where AI is making a lot of impact. And we believe that as a media, as the world is evolving, we also need to position ourselves well to meet the evolving trends. And so we want to understand how we can make good use of AI, even though I know it's causing a lot of havoc. We want to understand how we can make good use of it and also look into the future of journalism. After that, we'll make merry. We're going to mark the day with a cake cutting and a cocktail fun making, the laws of La Palm Royal. So after the lecture, it's going to be merry. We're going to actually dine, dance, and then interact, socialize among friends, and also take the time to remember the trailblazers, especially those who came before some of us. And Senior Randy, if you give me the opportunity, Champ, I would want to acknowledge some of the living past DJ presidents. And we talk about Ambassador Kabramia, who was the president between the year 1992 to 1996, handed over the baton to Giftia Dazi Esquire, who was also the president between 1997 to 2003, who handed over the baton to Adjoa Yeboafari, who was also the president between 2003 to 2006. Then Nana Kwekudei, but we formerly known as, or known in his private life as Ranford Tete, who also took the baton from 2006 to 2013. Then Roland Afemoni, who took the baton from 2013 to 2022 and handed over to me. This are the trailblazers, past presidents, who are live, and we want to commend them for the good work done, for laying the foundation for some of us continue. And we can see that the GJ is moving forward. As Nkrumah may say, we are not going back, and we are making a lot of strides. We are making a lot of positive strides, and you can see the progress. And so I will want to use the opportunity or platform to call on all well-meaning Ghanaians, not only journalists, who have also fought. Like Shosho, I think last year, if you monitored our GJ Awards, we have to commend him. We are institutionalized award in his name as a way of showing gratitude for his fight and promotion of press freedom in the country. So anybody who contributed, who has contributed to the freedom we are enjoying today as the media, even though we know it has come under threat during this recent times, but we hope and believe that the measures we have taken recently to fight impunity against journalists is really working, is doing the magic. And I hope that as we speak in an election year, we are in the 8th month and only 3 report that has come to us, only 3 journalists have been attacked. And for me, this is really a drastic reduction of the statistics and data we have. And so we will continue to fight and promote press freedom and ensure media responsibility in addition, especially in doing this period of elections where tensions, the stakes are high, and we know how the tension is mounting, and we will urge our people, especially we know some of you who are very professional have been doing a good job. Those who have been using unethical, non-professional comments, who have been making such comments on air that can stoke attention, that can create chaos, to desist from it. We need to be seen as massaging the muscles of politicians when they flare off. And so we also, Randy, we have a big task ahead of us, but we know that we shall surely cross it.
All right. Well, I guess that there's quite a lot to talk about as far as the practice of journalism is concerned, especially with the way the landscape has changed in the last 3 decades. I mean, proud to probably 30 years ago, this was not the media landscape in Ghana. Today, it's a completely different ball game. You're talking about a plethora of newspapers, hundreds of TV stations, hundreds of radio stations. There's new media, and the reliance on new media by a lot of people, and which has also led to issues of misinformation and disinformation and all that. We're talking about AI today and all that. Standards, people have raised the issue about standards. From the point of view of practitioners, there's the issue about conditions of service, training and retraining and all that. There are quite a lot of issues about the practice of journalism that ought to be thoroughly looked at.
But I think I agree with you. I agree with you, Randy. And looking into the future, I think you need to really make time for us to have an exclusive interview to deal with some of the emerging threats, actually, the emerging threat or the feasible threat, which really we see to be impediment or hindrance the growth of the media. And I think for us, first, AI was a threat. Now we are taking advantage of AI to rather look into the future and to prepare ourselves into the future. But Randy, I cannot really end this conversation with you without stressing on the team, the main team for the anniversary. In fact, it was launched on the 17th of April this year, and since then we've been commemorating it. But we will climax it at the GJ 28 GJ Media Awards, which will take place at the Accra International Conference Center come 28 September. The main team is on 75 years of excellence in journalism, honoring the past, embracing the present, and shaping the future. This was the team. So we are honoring the past, and that is what we are going to see come 28 September. We are going to honor our forebears and people who fought, and we're going to recognize some people who may not even be media practitioners, but who have contributed to the frontiers of the media. We also embracing the present as we find ourselves and shaping the future, find ourselves for the future. And let me say that, yes, you spoke about the media pluralism. In fact, this is Ghana as one of the vibrant and proactive media pluralism, where there are a lot of diverse thought, diverse ideas, diverse objectives and visions and missions for every media house. And again, as we speak, from the report we are gathering as at the second quarter, when it comes to self-censorship, I think that it has reduced drastically. Gone were the days where you will have people in authority directing and then influencing editorial policy. Now, in fact, self-censorship is reducing drastically, and for us, we have to commend ourselves for that good job. Now, you can't influence and direct an editor to what, even if he's a state worker. I think we have gone past that. And so, for us, Randy, we have come far, and to commend people like you, people like Kwaku Bako, Kwesi Pratt, and then all those who fought, Razak Al-Awa, and all those who have contributed their quota, because we are riding the back of the good days and the foundation you guys have put together for us, and we believe that we are building a good mansion on this, a good structure on this foundation, and we hope that with the support of all of you with once we come together as a media, like just as we did. In fact, this year, until January, February, we didn't know that the media can come together to even blacklist some persons and individuals or institutions who have the tendency and the motivation to attack journalists, go after journalists, and think can go scot-free because the law will not get rid of them. But when we tested the powers of the media, when we decided to blacklist such individuals, to lay down our tools, to off our microphones, to put down our pens on such individuals, that's where I realized that the media in Ghana is very united, regardless. We may not get it 100%, but I think that together, when we come together as a body, as an institution, we shall go far. And as the fourth estate of the realm, we need to take our rightful position. We need to make sure we need to be given the rightful recognition in the state. We media cannot be treated. In fact, we have started a discussion on the conditions of journalists, the working condition of journalists, in terms of their remunerations, in terms of the welfare, in terms of even any other benefit which we due us. And Randy, if you read the constitution, even at the 71 oldest, the media is part. We part. And ask ourselves, how are we being treated? Salaries of politicians in the state media, we cannot talk about it, let alone that of the private media. So this is a discussion, a roundtable discussion. That is, if you ask me, I have put together all the blocks. We have formed what we call the Media Coalition Ghana, so led by the GJ. So the blocks have come together to make sure that at least we will be able to champion the interest and the welfare of journalists in the country. And in the coming days, there are so many things we are going to come out with, including the welfare or the conditions of service of journalists. And we need the support of all of you to succeed in this regard.
All right, so thank you very much, Albert, for joining us this morning, and we wish ourselves a happy Diamond anniversary. See you at 4 p.m.
Of course, I'll see you too, and I'll expect your panelists to join us. Sammy, if you don't come, I'll come after you. Come and let's celebrate journalism together.
This is a threat from the GJ president.
You know that I always threat you. I know what you're afraid of. If I can't cool, you will not hit to it. You will hit to my coolness. So I'll be threatened.
All right, so thanks, Albert. And,
you're welcome, Zara Dicina. Right. Thank you so much.
Right, so that's the GJ president, Albert Jumfo, and today is the 75th anniversary of the Ghana Journalists Association, founded this same day in 1949 by Osajifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Right, Doc, let me start off with you. GGR 75, the media landscape. I'm sure that in the course of your work, you've had a lot of interface with the media.
Yeah, Randy, yeah, very true. I mean, once again, I would like to extend my best wishes to all journalists in Ghana, especially your good self. I mean, I quite remember some of us when we were growing up, we used to see your good self and other members within the fraternity who were championing the media and journalism in Ghana, and for that matter, you people were more or less the giants in the landscape that everybody wanted to look up to. And it's not just because people wanted to look up to you, because also because of the kind of standards that you people exhumed, I mean, during the time that we were growing up as young men. Now, but I mean, until recent times, like you rightly put it in your statement, journalism has changed in Ghana, and nowadays, I mean, it's also more or less an institutional problem, because you see a lot of mushroom journalism schools springing up here and there, and sometimes the quality of training given out to certain people who call themselves journalists is a bit questionable. I mean, in terms of the conduct, how they do things, journalists being very opinionated in that matter and don't necessarily speak to facts. And in most cases, they tend to also lead discussions that more or less incite emotions and so on and so forth. So that is the current landscape of journalism that we find ourselves now. And for me, I think the 75 years is a very good opportunity for the GJA as an association to reflect especially on standards of journalism in Ghana. It's very, very critical because like I listened to the president himself who made the point that journalism is the fourth realm, right? Is the fourth realm, and for that matter, journalism is a key component of governance. If you're considering governance as an overarching component, then journalism is a subset that you cannot do away with, just like you can't do away with the legislature, just like you can't do away with the judiciary, and just like you can't do away with also the executive. So it means that because whatever that happens, it is journalists that need to carry the news. Without journalism, the news doesn't get heard. And for that matter, the ordinary Ghanaian doesn't get opportunity to make informed decisions. So if you have a situation like this and you have people who are coming up and they don't really follow the standards of journalism in that matter, then it becomes very problematic. I mean, there are a lot of people nowadays who would tell that maybe we don't even want to listen to radio or we don't want to watch TV simply because of the kind of journalism that certain people are practicing. But obviously, like I said, let me also take this opportunity to also commend the good ones like yourself and many other journalists across the country who over the years, irrespective of the economic and social variability and changes, have stuck to their guns and have maintained the standards that they have set since they began this profession. So I think, like I said, it's a point of reflection. And I mean, for every institution, for every group, there is always a point for you to have a retrospection of yourself and see what you have done right and what you didn't do right and what you can do to chart a new path. And I think this should be the opportunity for yourself and the senior journalists in Ghana and the leadership of the GE to more or less chart a new path by bringing on board the new ones, the young ones like myself, who have joined your fraternity that are not necessarily sticking to the conduct and rules of the journalism fraternity in Ghana.
Right. Okay. Sammy, so you are a legal practitioner, but of course you've been part of media, and recently you have taken up the role of a host, a host of a show. I don't know if you are going to pick up a GJ membership, but we're 75.
Congratulations to the Ghana Journalists Association. I think that the association as a body has come very far and has chalked many significant strides worth celebrating. So in times like this, what is required is stock taking, sober reflection on the journey so far, and the areas that are worthy of improvement. And so I believe that during this week, the GJA will not only engage in the celebrations and the festivities, which I know my brother Junfor is very much interested in, but as he indicated, the right sober reflection will take place, and the GJA as a body will engage its members on the importance of the work of journalists in this democracy and the need for them to continuously improve on standards. It is not for nothing that we describe the media as a fourth estate of the realm. We describe you as a fourth estate of the realm because you have an important role to play in our democracy. Yes, we know that your responsibility, as many of you put it, is to inform, to educate, and to entertain. But even beyond that, I say that the media must be a voice of the voiceless. The media must be an agent of change, and the media must be an advocate for accountability. Some of you are already doing marvelously well in this direction, but some also have a long way to go in terms of being agents of change, agents of accountability, advocates of accountability, and the voice of the voiceless. But in all that the media does, it is important that they strictly adhere to the ethos of the profession. Professionalism is a must. These days, standards are falling. And it is important that we remind ourselves, we remind you in that fourth estate of the realm about the need to recommit and rededicate yourselves to the ethics of the profession. Impartiality and fairness is what we in the political class require. I say impartiality and non-neutrality,
yes,
because the two are not the same.
In fact, the Constitution itself speaks about impartiality,
Impartiality,
not neutrality.
Non-neutrality, because you cannot be neutral between light and darkness, good and evil, truth and lies. And our nation currently is at the crossroads and we require journalists not to just write stories and do editorials, not to just pass information to the populace, but also to participate in the political discourse, to participate in shaping public opinion and even policy for the benefit of the people. And so it is my hope that during this period, the GJA will lead this conversation and have all members of the association rededicate themselves to these very important values. So congratulations to the GJA. We'll be there to support you as you hold the various programs the President spoke of as having been scheduled to celebrate this 75 years. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so there's some news from the government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobneni. And Doc, he says that Ghana's consumer inflation has continued its downward trajectory, dropping to 20.9% year-on-year in July, marking the fourth consecutive month of decline. The drop represents a 1.9 percentage point drop from June's 22.8%, signaling a gradual easing of the economic pressures that intensified throughout 2023. In July, food inflation stood at 21.5%, while non-food inflation was slightly lower at 20.5%. Interestingly, the inflation rate for imported items was recorded at 15.6%, significantly lower than the 23.3% observed for locally produced goods. This sustained decline in inflation, which began in April 2024, indicates a steady cooling of price growth over the past 4 months. A consistent drop in inflation has brought some relief to consumers and businesses alike after a period of heightened economic strain. On a month-to-month basis, the pace of inflation growth also slowed, with a 2.1% increase from June to July 2024, down from 3.2% in May. This 2-month trend suggests that the inflationary pressures are beginning to ease. Year-on-year data shows a significant reduction in food inflation, which is now approximately 2.4 times lower than in August 2023. However, food prices remain slightly higher than those of non-food items. Additionally, the disparity between inflation rates for locally produced and imported goods is notable. Locally produced goods experience a higher inflation rate of 23.3% compared to 15.6% for imported goods. And government statistician Professor Samuel Kobneni attributed overall decline in inflation to decreases in both food and non-food categories, emphasizing the broader impact of these reductions on the economy. Do we need to be excited about this?
Thank you very much, Randy. You said, do we need to be excited about this? Given the circumstances we find ourselves, the answer is obvious, yes. Because, we know what inflation does to the ordinary Ghanaian. Inflation generally erodes the welfare of the ordinary citizen, and for that matter, it erodes the purchasing power of an individual. Now, Randa, you see, when we talk about inflation, in most cases, the understanding is quite not clear. When we talk about inflation, there is this general perception and tendency for people to make the argument as inflation has declined, but yet overall prices on the goods market, for instance, hadn't seen a massive reduction as regards to the percentage changes that we are seeing. So, for example, we are having inflation reducing from about 22.5% to 20.9%. And then someone may make the argument about when I go to the market, I actually don't see a change in the price of overall goods and services in the market. And for that matter, it is very, very important to shape the understanding and especially inform listeners on what inflation usually is. You see, Randy, if you read the report that, the broader report that you just read, I'm sure you provided a summary of the whole report. If you read the report very well, it tells you about the processes that the government statistician or the Ghana Statistical Service actually collates inflationary data. And if you look at the report, it tells you that data is collected on about 47,000 plus items. 47,000. That's quite a lot of items. And these 47,000 items are categorized into 13 specific items. So it is based on these 13 specific items that the government statistician actually derives individual inflation based on food, construction, petroleum, rent, and so on and so forth. So that is how inflation is calculated. Now, when you come back to the year-on-year inflation, I mean, in certain countries, they deal with the month-on-month inflation, but in Ghana, we deal with the year-on-year inflation. So basically, what we do here is that we pick this year's CPI, then we subtract last year's July CPI from it and divide by last year's CPI. That is how you're able to get your inflation for July 2024. So that is the premise of certain calculating or deriving inflation. Now, Randy, coming back to the question that you asked me. Now, we quite remember very well, if I'm permitted to go into the antecedent of inflation in the country, if you recall very well, between 2011 to 2012, okay, Ghana had one of its lowest inflation. Remember, in 2000, actually, when President Kufuor was taking over as president of the country, that was being sworn in January 2001. Inflation was hovering around, I think, about 40% thereabout. And by the time that he was leaving office, I think inflation was somewhere around 16% thereabout. So that was a massive reduction in overall inflation in the country. So between 2011 and 2012, obviously, Ghana recorded under the Fourth Republic, one of its single-digit inflation. This is worth noting, it's a fact, so I will talk about this. Now, between 2013 to 2015, inflation, which was generally around 2012, which was about 8.8%, actually had a quantum leap to the extent that we actually had an inflationary rate of 17.7% in 2015. And it is worth noting to make the point that this inflationary rate that I'm talking about, 17.7%, was devoid of any exogenous impact. Now, if you remember very well, Randy, between 2017 to 2019, especially in 2019, Ghana has its lowest inflation under the Fourth Republic. Right? That was 17.9% of inflation. That was in 2019.
How is that the lowest in the Fourth Republic?
Yes, because I've given you the data.
17.9%?
No, 7.9% in 2019.
Okay.
No, 17.7% in 2015.
Okay.
Okay. Then in 2016, it reduced marginally to 15.4%. But in 2019, we had actually attained an inflationary rate of 7.9%. And that is so far the lowest under the Fourth Republic post 2011 inflation.
For a year?
Yes, for a year, year-on-year inflation. Like I said, we don't deal with month-on-month inflation. We deal with year-on-year inflation.
Right.
Now, quick forward, between 2020 and 2022, we saw the twin pandemic occurring across the world. And that was the first time that we saw countries like the United States of America having its highest inflationary rate in about 40 years, about 9.1% in July 2022. The same time, the Great Britain also had its highest inflationary rate in about 30 years, which was about 9.1% in the same July 2022. And for that matter, that was also when Ghana's problem began to endanger, and for that matter, we had inflationary rate climbing to as high as I think about 54%, if I quite remember. So now, between 2023, fast forward between 2023 January to 2024 to date, inflation has actually seen a downward trend. And for that matter, today, we are looking at an inflationary rate of about 20.9%. So basically, to answer the question that you posed to me, it is worth noting that, yes, we can do better than what we are experiencing now, given the trajectory that I've enumerated. But obviously, I also acknowledge the fact of the exogenous factors that came to hit our economy, and for that matter, it put us off the rail a bit. Now, so if the ordinary Ghanaian goes to the market, for example, not until recently, there was this politics of cooking oil. And when I came here this morning, as I sat down reading the newspapers, I saw that some sound bites were being played, and the politics of cooking oil, I remember that time was really the talk of town. That I think a 5 kilograms yellow fried oil bottle was going for about, I think, 1,200 Ghana cedis or so. And then a lot of people were complaining, and I share in their pain because no one wants to see his or her purchasing power being eroded as a result of microeconomic factors. So that is something that I agree. But fast forward today, if you go to the market and you ask the price of the same cooking oil, I'm not sure it's going for the same 1,200. It is much lower. In certain places, I'm told it's about 700 or 650 Ghana cedis. The same thing about the tomato politics, which was recently reared its head, and you saw that certain media houses were actually even propagating the tomato politics, whereby people were talking about the fact that a box of tomato was going for, I think, about 6,500, 7,500 in some markets within Accra. And today, if you go and ask about the same box of tomato, it is going something less than 1,500 Ghana cedis. So obviously, this rate of reduction in prices like certain goods like the ones that I have enumerated culminate for the government statistician to come up with the fact that yes, though the general prices of goods and services across the country hasn't seen a drastic reduction as we may want it, but in terms of the rate of change, in terms of the rate of appreciation in the general price level, we are seeing a decreasing rate in terms of the rate of appreciation. And so for that matter, if we talk about inflation, this is basically what the government statistician seeks to measure. And that is why I have tried to set examples with certain prices for you to know that yes, in terms of the rate of appreciation of the prices, it has actually seen a reduction in these prices. And it's something worth noting that we don't need to celebrate like maybe do pop and pageantry or something like that. But obviously, it is a welcoming news for the ordinary consumer. What it simply tells you that if a box of tomato, like we saw in a previous month, that we were told that a box of tomato was selling, I think, about 7,000 Ghana cedis. If you could afford just two tomatoes at 20 Ghana cedis, today, that 20 Ghana cedis can give you more than the 2 tomatoes, assuming that reportage was true. But I don't have the means to verify that reportage. But basically, this is what it's telling us. So yes, so it's a welcoming news that every Ghanaian should be appreciative of. And most especially for businesses. You know, Randy, see, one of the reasons why the BOG over the years has been increasing the monetary policy rate or has maintained the monetary policy rate post the Russian-Ukraine war is the fact that we have an economy which is centered on inflation targeting. I have my own reservations about inflation targeting as an economist, and I don't want to go in there. But basically, because we have an economy that our main focus is about inflation targeting, in most cases, we set our monetary policy rate much higher than the inflationary rate. So that is the case that when we had inflation going up, you saw the BOG pushing the MPR to about 29% and has since maintained it there. So a situation whereby we are having inflation now declining, and if I read the projections that is available from the Ministry of Finance and my own personal projection that I have done, by October, we are most likely to have something around 16 or 15% thereabout. And this is a welcoming news to businesses, especially because if inflation is declining, then it means that obviously, and I have read international reports that are saying that it is most likely that in the next meeting of the BOG, actually the MPR is going to be reduced downwards. What it simply means for businesses is that the cost of borrowing that currently businesses borrow, and it's expensive because the MPR is higher, and for that matter, your rates level and inflationary and depreciation level are all calculated in addition to the inflation into the lending rate. It obviously means that if the MPR is going to be reduced because inflation is declining, then the cost of borrowing or the interest rate, to put it in plain language, on borrowing is also going to see a form of reduction. And for that matter, businesses can now have access to credit or can now have access to liquidity at a much cheaper rate comparatively compared to maybe the cost of borrowing maybe a month or 2 months ago. So it's really a welcoming news, Randy, for businesses alike and for the average Ghanaian.
Okay, so I want us to quickly interrogate your assertion that our inflationary rates post 2019,
okay,
where with respect to COVID and Russia-Ukraine, the data shows that in 2020, the year of COVID, the year we declared COVID year, it was 9.89. The following year, 2021.
2020,
yes.
My data from the Ministry of Finance is 10.4%.
Okay, because what I have is 9.89.
Yeah, I have 10.4% from
10.04.
No, 10.4%.
10.40.
10.40.
Yes.
10.40.
Okay. And then 2021. What do you have for 2021?
I have 12.8%.
12.8.
Yeah, then 2022, 54.3%. Yeah, so that was the highest that we had.
Yes, okay. Yeah. So if you look at 12.89 in 2021, so 2020, 2021, 10 and then 12. Then you have 54%.
Yeah, 54.
For 2022. And then in 2023, what was your figure for 2023?
I don't have 2023, but I think 2023 it was, I think, about 46.7 there.
Okay. So how do you attribute 2022 and 2023 to COVID and Russia, Ukraine?
2022?
And 2023.
Yeah, I mean, so Randy, that's basically, I gave you the statistics. Now, if you look at the global inflation in 2022, global inflation, when I talk about global, not just Ghana, I mean the world as an economy, you saw the global inflation increasing by 1.5% worldwide. Now, the United States of America, which is seen as the doyen of democracy and free market, which barely had an inflationary rate of 2% since 1981, actually had an inflationary rate of 9.1%. And President Joe Biden is seen and heard on record attributing the high rise in inflation as a result of Putin's invasion of Ukraine. In fact, he actually goes on to attribute this high rise of inflation to the fact that gas became a weaponized commodity. And I'm sure you, Randy, yourself, you're a doctor, so you know this fact, that Putin has actually weaponized gas. And for that matter, Europe and the advanced economy were actually reeling from the weaponization of gas. And if you remember that time, taking back to the COVID era, now before March 2020, now the average cost of 40-feet container was about, the average cost of 40-feet container was about 1,300 USD. And this data is available at the Fritos Bactos Index. You can check it, Randy. It was about $1,300 for the average 40-feet container. Now, by September 2020, this cost, which was in March 2020, had actually jumped to $8,500 per the same average feet of container. Now, what it simply means is that if at first, Randy, for example, let's assume you are an importer, and you were bringing in a commodity from, let's say, the Asian world, let's say from China, and you were paying, let's say, 1,300. Now you will need to cough about 8 times the same amount to be able to just pay for the free charges. Now, if you bring that container to Ghana, it simply means that if you were selling a single unit at, let's say, 2 Ghana cedis, you will now have to factor in the 8 times price that you paid for your freight plus your duty. Then you now price the single unit of the product. So what it simply means is that the cost of the product on the market is going to see about 10 or 12 times the price. And when you have this sharp rise in price, obviously, most of the inputs that most local manufacturing companies use in Ghana, I mean, I've had the opportunity to sit in meetings with the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and they have told me that, look, most of the inputs that we use, actually we import them. Now, if you take the cement sector, for example, the clinker that they use, they import it. This is something I'm sure, Randy, your good self, you know it. So obviously, if you are paying more for these inputs, then it means that the price on the general market is actually going to go up. And for that matter, if we are going to calculate inflation, then obviously you are going to see a higher inflation. So that is how
But the years that you referred to, the highest we got to was a little over 12. So I'm asking about the 2022-2023. And I'm asking this because we know that in that particular period, the central bank actually printed billions of cedis for central government. And obviously, this impacted on the 54 and others that we're talking about, and not necessarily COVID and Russia, Ukraine.
So Randy, let me take you back in terms of the central bank printing money. You see, I've heard that argument before, and I have said, I mean, in the classroom to my students, that there's a whole misconception about central bank printing money. Because in every year, central bank prints money, Randy.
Yes.
Now, the central bank prints money for two main purposes.
Yes.
And the first purpose is about replacing old currency notes.
Yes.
That is the first purpose.
Yes.
The second purpose...
That's not lending to central government.
Exactly. So I'm coming to the second purpose.
Right.
Now, the second purpose is about refinancing government deficit. Now, Randy...
Which is regulated by law.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, Randy, if you permit me to take you back, now, in terms of deficit, because anytime there is a deficit, government needs to fund this deficit. And government can fund this deficit in most instances. I categorize this in two ways. Now, the first way is for the government to fall on its central bank. Now, the second way is for the government to borrow, either from the domestic market or either from the international market. Maybe whether they are going to issue the Eurobond, whether they are going for a commercial loan, whether they are going for a concessionary loan, or what so on and so forth. These are the ways that government can finance its deficit. Now, we know that in most cases, if government tends to borrow more from the domestic market, what it tends to do is that it actually crowds out private investment, simply meaning that it is the same banks or finance sector that you and I, assuming that we want to open businesses, we would go and look for money to come and invest in our businesses. So if government takes all this money available, that means that if you and I go to these banks or these financial institutions, we may not have any money available for our expansion and businesses, and for that matter, that's why we say it crowds out private investment.
Right.
So as a government or as an economist, in most cases, you would not advise government to finance its deficit through domestic borrowing. Yes, the government will do it to some extent, but there is a cap or threshold to which government can borrow from domestic market, and in most cases, government has to borrow from the international market. Now, bring you back to the issue of the deficit, Randy. If you want me to provide you the data, in fact, under the Fourth Republic.
No,
I want to answer the printing of money for you. So under the Fourth Republic, the highest deficit that we have experienced till date was a deficit of 11.6% of GDP, and that was in 2012. Now, in 2012...
That can't be correct.
That is correct, Randy.
Unless you're...
Check the data.
Hold on. Unless
as a percentage of GDP.
No, hold on. Unless you're also doing below the line and above the line.
No.
Otherwise, if you're not doing below the line and above the line, we have had deficits in the last 7 years that have crossed 15.
No? Which year? Which year was that?
I would provide that.
Yeah, please provide, because I have all the data.
No, I'll provide that.
Yeah, in fact, the highest deficit we have had under this government was actually in 2020, which was 10.8% of GDP. You can check the data.
That was below the line. Maybe reconcile your figures.
No, these are figures from the Ministry of Finance, Randy.
No, I'm saying reconcile your figures, and you can look at even the IMF data on our program. You would see that we were reporting a below the line and above the line. If you look at the above the line figure, it is not the figure that you're talking about.
Well, unless
check your data.
Unless the Ministry of Finance have a different data,
no, check your data.
The one I have,
Even in their report, if you check the appendices,
Randy,
you find both.
So is it going back? Is it that issue is about printing money?
Yes.
So now this 11.6% of GDP that I'm talking about here, Randy. Now this 11.6%, if you read the IMF report in 2012, in 2013, it tells you clearly that the government in 2012, the Bank of Ghana actually completed this 11.6% of budget deficit that incurred in 2012. So this is not the first time that...
And this led to what?
Is it?
And this event led to what?
Is that it led to... Yes, so I have the inflationary rate here in 2013. And the inflationary rate in 2013...
So you're not getting a point I'm making. I'm just trying to tell you that this is what led to that piece of legislation.
Yes, I mean, you're talking about...
Yes.
Okay. No.
Yes.
So you see, my argument doesn't even come in terms of the Fiscal Responsibility Act and the cap. No, I don't even want to talk. See, I want to focus on this printing of money issue.
No, the point I was trying to make when I raised the issue of printing of money is where we lay the basis for the inflationary trend.
See,
because you made the claim. You blamed it on Russia, Ukraine, and COVID. And I am telling you that the data suggests that in those years when we moved beyond the 12, so you see that 2020, 2021, It was 10 and then 12.8. Now you see what you might call an outlier with 2022. That is the 50-something%.
No, Randy,
Yes.
so that can be right. And that is the point I'm trying to explain here.
What can be
It
right?
can be right. So
that is an outlier.
No, it can be right that is the printing of the money. And please give me the opportunity to
please
explain.
do.
That's what I'm trying to
Please do.
explain here.
Yes.
It can be right because, you see, that's what I'm trying to paint the picture that when the central bank financed government deficit of 11.6% of GDP in 2012, okay? Inflationary rate in 2013 was not 17%. We actually had a 7.7% inflationary rate in 2015. That was about 3 years later on. So it cannot be the fact that the central bank printed money to finance government deficit. That is why we had a higher inflationary rate. Now, the reason why I'm saying it can't be right is that, remember, in 2022, that was where Ghana had one of its worst reserves. Remember, post-COVID. Because during COVID time, if you remember, President Ramaphosa and His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo both argued that our debt needed to be suspended. I mean, in terms of debt service, which wasn't done. And for that matter, in 2019, actually, Ghana has one of its highest reserves since independence. That was about 4.8 months import cover. So we expended most of these reserves in servicing debt. Remember, because of the revenue shortfalls and the other antecedents that came up with it. So if you remember, that was the era that, because we had virtually depleted our reserves, so the cedi lost its value. So Randy, if you quite remember, in 2022 actually, Ghana actually added about 9.8 billion of debt to its debt without it necessarily going to the international market to borrow, because as a result of the depreciation of the Ghana cedi. So if you remember, in 2022, the cedi actually depreciated to the dollar. It was selling, I think, about 17 Ghana cedis to a dollar that time. Yes. So what it simply means is that if, like, and coincidentally, like I was giving you that data, now if I was changing a dollar to a cedi at about 10 Ghana cedis, and it was the price, the initial price of a 40-feet container was about 1,300 USD. And I told you that between that period, you had this 1,300 jumping to over 8,800 plus. So what it simply means that on the international market, the cost of paying for freight has doubled. I think it has gone up about 8 times. Now, within domestically, because you don't print dollars, you have to fall on your central bank to get dollars. The cost of buying this dollar, because as a result of the depletion of your reserve, has also gone up about 2 times. So in terms of you changing currency within your own domestic market, you are losing out. And at the same time, at the international front, you are also losing out. So when you are a good businessman and you are now going to price your commodity, it will not just be the cost that you are incurring from the international front. It will also be the cost of depreciation that you are losing within your own local economy. And for that matter, you see that the price, which is supposed to go on about 10 times, will now go up at about 15 times. So that is why we had this sharp inflation. And in fact, I was in South Africa by then, and I gave a lecture on this. And I said categorically, and if you remember, Turkey, for example, had the same similarly inflation of, I think, about 58% during that time. And one of the things that the Turkish government did was that, look, they saw that this was an inflation which had been generated by exogenous factors. So what the Turkish government decided to do is that we were not going to touch our NPR. We will allow NPR to be as it is. In other words, they abandoned inflation targeting. For me, I think at that point, that is something that we could have done. But if you are trying to attribute this sharp inflation to what do you call it, the printing of money, then that can't be right, because I've explained to you the dynamics that happened within that time. And for that matter, given these two dynamics that I've explained, there is no businessman who will buy a bottle of water. You know, this bottle is even imported from China, the raw bottle. Most of the companies, that's what they tell us. Okay, so there is no way, if you were selling this bottle at 15 cedis, you may now sell it about 35 Ghana cedis.
You know, the point I keep making, and I don't want us to keep going back and forth. The issues that you raised existed in 2020. They existed in 2021.
But 2022 was worsened because of the pricing of fuel. That is what I'm trying to bring in. You remember, fuel. That's why I said that President Joe Biden himself said Putin has weaponized fuel. In fact, food inflation was one of the highest inflation that we had in 2022. Why? Because most of the inputs that we get to produce food comes from Ukraine and Russia. In fact, you know that Ukraine and Russia are the two major suppliers of fertilizer. And when Putin invaded Ukraine, you saw that the global price of fertilizer went up about 15 times. So if you read most of the IMF reports, they will tell you that sub-Saharan Africa in particular suffered from that incident. And for that matter, you saw food inflation going up so much. So that's what I'm trying to say is that yes, I agree to the point that you are saying. But the point I am also making is that it cannot be right that it is just because the government, the central bank finance
not just. I'm just saying that something extraordinary in terms of money supply, something extraordinary happened in that year. And you cannot speak about inflation without attributing it to that. So if you just speak about Russia, Ukraine, and COVID, and you have that extraordinary thing done by the central bank, and we all know what money supply does to inflation, and you decide not to highlight that or speak about that, I find that quite remarkable.
Is it Randy? Is it economic theory is a bit complicated. You see, I am a monetarist. Now, if you talk about money supply, it depends on where liquidity is going to.
Yes.
Is liquidity going into your domestic economy, or is liquidity going to your external, the external economy? I mean, going to your external creditors.
In our case here, domestic.
It was domestic.
Yes. In our case, we know.
Okay. So, Randy, let's do the analysis here. Now, let's pick government expenditure in Ghana. Okay. Now, the number one item of government expenditure by the 2024 budget statement, which was read in November, is payment of salaries and emoluments. That is the number one item. That is costing us, I think, about 66.4 billion Ghana cedis.
And it's because we have stopped servicing our external debt.
No, so I'm coming.
Prior to November 2022, debt servicing was number one.
Yeah, so that's why I'm coming to the point. Now, number two item is debt servicing, payment of interest and loans, right? That's number two. Now, out of this number two item, what is the percentage of loans that we pay domestically, and what is the percentage of loans that we pay externally? Now, you agree with me that external loans constitutes a majority of this item.
Yes.
You agree with me on that score? Perfect. So that is what I'm trying to say.
But don't forget that with the issue of the DDEP, we were not servicing both until we completed the domestic part. Until we completed the domestic part, we were not even servicing domestically, so it was both ways.
You see, you talked about government financing in 2020. You talk about BOG financing of government debt in
2022.
2022.
Yes.
Okay, obviously. So, and I have made the point to you that 2022 was one of the years that we have our lowest reserves. So it simply means that the BOG had to step in providing money to the government to finance its expenditure.
I'm not talking about rationale. That's not the point I'm
making.
No,
I get the point you are making.
I'm talking about impact.
Yes.
On inflation.
So it needs to go through a channel, right? Because this is monetary policy. So it must go through a channel. And that is a channel that I'm trying for the two of us to establish here. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to establish, that this channel that you have identified, that one or the highest channel is the servicing of loans. And I'm only trying to break this channel further down. That if you take this component of servicing of loans, which part constitutes a chunk of this money? That is the point I'm trying to establish.
But in that year, we were not servicing. That's the point I'm making to you.
In 2022?
Yes, we were not servicing. 2022, November is when we stopped.
So then, Randy, so then if we were not servicing, then the question also comes in, where was this liquidity being channeled to? If we were not servicing,
you should be able to.
No, so that's what I'm a bit confused.
Consumption,
because it can be government consumption. In what extent?
Consumption.
No, when central bank provides,
it was not going to capex.
So when central bank,
it was not going to debt servicing.
So you see, government can only spend what is captured in the budget, right? Unless it presents a supplementary budget.
Well, in the case of the Bank of Ghana's lending to government, it was not captured anywhere.
No. I'm not talking about Bank of Ghana's lending to government.
No, you say government can only spend.
Yes. Because government cannot spend without it being captured in the general budget. That is what I know. Unless there is,
that's what it should be.
Yes,
but we have a plethora of examples.
Brandy,
of expenditures that are
maybe
not
you may want to share with me. I am not privy to this information.
Okay, let's bring Sabi in at this point. Sabi, can you?
There is a.
When you have the lecturers here, you think.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about economic jargons and all that. So let's break the issues down.
Right.
What we're discussing is about a report by the Ghana Statistical Service that the rate of inflation has declined again to 20.9%.
Right.
I think about 22.5%. That is good, but we need to understand what exactly that means. Now, that does not mean that if you go to the market, the prices of basic commodities would have come down. That is not the meaning of it. What that means is that the rate at which the prices were increasing has slowed down. But prices are still high and will still remain high, which means that the hardships occasioned by that high level of prices will still be felt, at least in the short to medium term, by the people of this country. And so, for example, if today you are buying a ball of kinky at 3 cedis or 4 cedis or 5 cedis in most places in Accra, that ball of kinky which is going for 5 cedis will remain at 5 cedis. If you're buying a gallon of diesel or petrol today at almost 70 Ghana cedis, you're still going to buy it at almost 70 Ghana cedis. It is not going to drop. If you're buying an oloka of gari today at 30 cedis, because that is the price in Accra, the price will still remain at 30 cedis. A bag of maize, which has increased from 170 cedis in 2016 under Mahama to over 1,000 cedis, will still remain at 1,000 Ghana cedis. A tuber of yam puna, which used to go for 5 cedis in 2016, but today is going for 60 Ghana cedis, will continue to remain at 60 Ghana cedis. So we need to understand these things. That when we say that the rate of inflation has declined, it is not to say that once you go to the market, prices would have come down. No. What it means is that it is the rate of change, the rate of increase that has slowed down. That is the first point I need to make. Now, even though that decline is good for whatever it is worth at this time, it is important for us to understand that it is still very, very high. Still very, very, very high. When you compare it to the current rate of inflation in neighboring countries, in African countries. As we speak, the inflation rate in Algeria, for example, is 6.1%. In Botswana, it is 3.7%. Neighboring Burkina Faso, rate of inflation is 2.4%. Okay? In Burundi, it is 12.1%, Cameroon, 5.1%, Cape Verde, 1.9%. You come to Eritrea, 6.4%. Okay. Ivory Coast, that Bawumia and Nana Danko Akufo-Addo used to compare us to. Inflation rate is 4.1%. Okay, Mali, 4.2%. Morocco, 1.8%. Niger, 15.4%. So if you compare us to our peers in Africa, our rate of 20.9% is still very high. Yes, there are countries in a worse condition, but Ghana will still be among the top 5 to 10 countries in Africa with the highest inflation. I can say the top 10 countries out of the 54 countries in Africa. So it's still very high. Then number two, a rate of increase or change in prices at 20.9% is not worth celebrating. Not at all. In December 2016, as my brother said, the rate of inflation in Ghana was 15.4%. Doc, you remember?
Yes.
The MPP, his friends, Alhaji Bawumia, and the entire New Patriotic Party said that was unacceptable. They said Mahama was incompetent. They said times were tough, Ghanaians were suffering. So you recall the famous "We are suffering" chorus that Bawumia used to sing. Teachers are suffering, nurses are suffering, traders are suffering, students are suffering, parents are suffering. What was the inflation rate around that time? It was 15.4%. So how can 20.9 be better? This is simple, common sense. If 54% was that bad, and as a result you said Ghanaians were suffering, then Ghanaians are not comfortable now that the inflation is 20.9. But then let me also give you another commonsensical analogy. Look, right now we are all sitting here in this beautiful studio. If I bring dust here and I make this place muddy and dirty, and Doc, you complain, your producers complain, your management complain, then I am forced to pick a brush or a broom to sweep it and mop it clean. Have I done something worth applauding? Have I done something worth applauding? I brought mud here into a clean studio. I brought dirt here, made the place dirty. And because of your complaints, I decided to sweep it and mop it. Have I done something that you should applaud me? I've done well because I've cleaned it.
You are responding to my complaints positively.
Yes, positively, but how did the complaint come about? Because I came to a clean place and I decided to make it dirty. So I cannot be applauded for the mess I created, which I now claim, I'm in the process of addressing. I'm not even done addressing the problem. Because as he indicated, inflation was 15.4% until you bring it below 15.4%, which is what you inherited from Mahama, which you berated him for, castigated him for. You've done nothing worth applauding. If you yourself say that inflation went to as low as 7.9% sometime in 2019, and that is the lowest in the history of the Fourth Republic, granted. And because of your recklessness, because of your mismanagement, inflation galloped to hyper levels of 54% as of November 2022. Then, if you bring it down to 20.9, you've done nothing worth celebrating. Because it should not have gotten to 54% if you were prudent, if you were responsible in the way you manage the economy. This is simple. It's not about economic jargons and technicalities to, confuse ordinary people.
Would you have preferred that inflation stayed at 54%?
I wouldn't have preferred, but I would have preferred that it didn't get to 54% in the first place. That's my answer. But you see, Doc, my brother here tries to blame that high level of inflation we recorded in 2022 on global factors. And he says President Biden. I'm surprised because he's an economist. So the fact that America records high inflation and Biden blames it on Russia means that if inflation is high in Ghana, then it is high because of the reasons Biden adduced for high inflation in America. Is that what you're saying? Well, yes, obviously, we are in a global village. Yeah. Global factors impact our economy. That didn't start today. You understand? And it is not the case that the factors responsible for inflation in America are the same as the factors responsible for inflation in Ghana. You see, let's make the thing simple. These are simple issues. Don't use economic jargons to obfuscate issues. Look, I'm going to demonstrate to you that what he said and most of the things you said that he disputed are totally false. Totally false. The reason why the government of Ghana said that budget deficit for 2020 was 10-point-something%, later on they revised it to 11.7% is because they were cooking the figures. So the figures you are quoting here are cooked, concocted figures that didn't reflect our real deficit. I'm not saying it. The IMF said it. Let me read that to you. If you are watching this show, Google this story. It's a Mind Your Online story It was published on 13th April 2021 by Joy Business at 11:07 a.m. The headline is Ghana's fiscal deficit of GDP in 2020 was 16%, not 11.7%. IMF, here is it.
The 11.7 was below the line.
But why? But you would not accept that correction.
No, I told him to just check the thing.
Oh, Doc. His entire argument is based on this. And that is why he's saying that recklessness and mismanagement was not a reason for a high deficit.
That was a below the line reporting.
Look, cooked figures. Sometimes when we say the below the line, people don't understand. Hiding liabilities of government which should be part of its deficit calculation. And please, if you don't understand the deficit, what we are simply talking about is the difference between government's expenditure as against revenue. Every government,
revenue, domestic revenue.
Yes, every government is supposed to live within its means. And so if you don't live within your means and you spend recklessly far beyond what you rake in domestically as your revenue, your deficit is going to be high. That is going to increase your debt, and you will have to find ways, mainly through borrowing, to finance that. So if you spend recklessly, your deficit will go high and your public debt will go high. And if your public debt continues to go high to unsustainable levels, investors will lose confidence in your economy. When investors lose confidence in your economy, it will lead to capital flight. They will start taking their monies away. If they start taking their monies away, your cedi will depreciate. When your cedi depreciates, because your economy is largely import dependent, prices will go up. That is the cause of the inflation. It's as simple as that. So if you read the story, it says that the International Monetary Fund has contradicted government fiscal deficits of gross domestic product claim of 11.7% achieved in 2020, as its data shows that government financing gap was actually 16% of GDP in 2020. This made it one of the highest among low-income developing countries. Zambia followed closely with a budget deficit of GDP of 13.9%. The government in 2021 budget and economic policy said this fiscal deficit, that's the gap between revenue and expenditure to GDP, was estimated at 11.7% of GDP. But the fund's April 2021 fiscal monitor stated otherwise. It is also projecting a financing gap of 12.6% and 10.4% in 2021 and 2022 respectively. So you read everything. The World Bank explains that what they said was a lie. So my brother, stop quoting figures that have been exposed by the IMF, who are today supervising the management of our economy. In fact, they have appointed a headmaster with a whip to sit at our central bank to prevent the central bank from printing money. What you are sitting here justifying. They are there to ensure that there is zero central government financing by the Bank of Ghana. So if what you are saying, all the economic arguments you are making here, hold, they are true, why has your government signed a deal with the IMF that henceforth we will be good boys? We will not print money again. Why? All these economic justifications you are making, why didn't they make that? Why have they now committed to zero financing of the central government? Why?
No, but we all know that even the financing allowed by law was breached.
Yeah. You can finance the government. Okay. Now he himself said that the printing of the money comes about as a result of the need for the central government to assist, the central bank to assist government finances deficit. So if the deficit was not 16%, okay, there wouldn't have been the need for the Bank of Ghana to print 42 billion cedis in 2022 and 35 billion cedis in 2021. So the cause is the deficit. And what is the cause of the deficit? The reckless expenditure Bawumia and the MPP engaging in 2020. When under the guise of COVID, for election purposes, they engage in reckless expenditure. They distributed borrowed funds to party apparatchiks like biscuits. Why? Felicia Tete, their Sagnerigu parliamentary candidate and vice chair for the MPP Northern Region, is on tape. If my brother, maybe he was in South Africa by then, he has not listened to the tape, I'll share it with him. On tape saying that parliamentary candidates were given 2,200,000 new Ghana cedis COVID funds, all of them. Constituency chairman, 50,000. District chief executives, 50,000. constituency executives, 30,000. The least an executive member got was 10,000 cedis. This is the confession of a beneficiary of the loot. You can't overlook it. You can't dispute it. Look at the COVID-19 expenditure audit report by the Auditor General. Look at the kind of reckless expenditures they engage in. They paid 37.4 million for free water. The Auditor General asked them for water bills. They had none. They paid in total 15.6 million cedis for hot meals. That's 156 billion cedis. The Auditor General asked them. In some cases, they didn't have receipts, only honor certificates. In other cases, no receipt, no honor certificate. They just said we spent the money. No evidence.
It was an emergency.
Oh, so even an emergency, when you are buying food at Jofel will not give you a receipt. Me, when I go to Jofel, 2020, when I went to Jofel, because this is one of the restaurants they say they source hot meals from. Why? Okay, so tell me this. What about the 14 million cedis they gave to a company, Modern Security Sprinters, to train SHS students on COVID-19 safety protocols? Something the teachers in those schools could have done for free. The company took the money, never did the job, according to the Auditor General. 40 million cedis. What about that? What about the $271,000 the Auditor General says was used to buy medical equipment, which was diverted, sold, and they chopped the money? What about that? You go and look at that report, it stinks to the high heavens. So the problem was that they used COVID as a ruse to spend recklessly for election purposes. They were sending Momo left, right, center to people just to buy the election. And the result was a 15.6, now according to the IMF, 16% deficit. That was not because of the things Biden spoke about in America. It was not because of Putin. 2020, Putin had not even gone to war. That high deficit was chalked in 2020. The Putin war in Ukraine was 2022. Yes.
To 2022.
But the source of the problem was 2020 budget deficit. You understand? Then he says that, okay, so let's subject what he's saying to common sense analysis. Forget the economic jargons. He says that high inflation of 54% that we achieved was not because of the printing of the money. Well, the Bank of Ghana has said that it is because the central bank refused to tighten monetary policy. And if you want, I can read that story to you.
Yeah, but I mean, what is monetary policy?
If you want, in fact, even Addison has come out to say that he doesn't look after the Bank of Ghana fingered them. When the Bank of Ghana fingered them as being the cause of the hyperinflation we reach, Addison came out. Don't blame us for worsening inflation rate. Bank of Ghana tells World Bank. It is here.
So what has
and if you read the story, he doesn't give, all he says is that don't blame us. He doesn't give any reason why they should not be blamed.
But the World Bank blamed the central.
The World Bank blamed them. And that is why the World Bank said that because of their recklessness in overfinancing government through the illegal printing of money, 850,000 Ghanaians were pushed into poverty in 2022 alone. This is a serious matter. The World Bank said it. And I have read the story trying to look for one cogent. All he said was that, look, let me read what is in quotation. The Bank of Ghana has refuted the World Bank's assertion that it is responsible for the increasing rate of inflation in the country. According to the central bank, it cannot be blamed for the rising inflation, which affected various goods and services. Then what is in quotation mark? Let me read that. They are of the other view that the monetary policy tightening is the way to go, except that we are late by the assessment, which I also disagree with, because if I recollect, we started this policy tightening as far back as November 2021. It wasn't in January that we logged out of the market. He was just saying that because Ghana was locked out of the capital market and we could not go on the Eurobond market to borrow money, they had to come to government's aid to finance their deficit. And so even though the law says don't do more than 5% of the total revenue of the previous fiscal year, they did more than 20-30%, printed money illegally, criminally. And that is what the World Bank is saying. So if you want to debate the World Bank, debate the World Bank. If you want to debate the IMF, debate the IMF on what the deficit figures are. But at the end of the day, at least your government has accepted. They have gone there. They have now signed an agreement to be of good behavior. the IMF now has given them a police officer, or if you like, a headmaster with a cane, ensuring, sitting at the central bank, ensuring that they don't print money again. So no matter of economic jargons can change that fact. And you see, if it is true that what we recorded in 2022, that hyperinflation of 54%, was because of some global factors. Only because of global factors. That is what they make it look like. We are not saying that global factors were not parts, but we are saying that aside that, the major reason was because of the reckless expenditure and the mismanagement of the economy. And Kwaku Kwate, who at some point was a deputy minister.
Yes.
Good. And until recently was a chairman of the NPP's Finance Committee in Parliament.
No, Parliament's Finance Committee.
Parliament's Finance Committee. Kwaku Kwate, what has he said? He said the NPP stop lying. He's telling our, he said stop that. Stop blaming everything on COVID and Russia. That's Kwaku Kwate. He was part of the economic, the team of the NPP managing the economy. He knows, he says that, look, it's not only because of global factors. We've been reckless. Kwaku Kwate said that. And if you compare the inflation rate of other African countries in 2022, our 54% was the third highest. So how come that these factors you are talking about, a jumped Cote d'Ivoire, a jumped Burkina, a jumped Togo, a jumped Nigeria, you understand? Because in 2020, our inflation rate was even far higher than that of Nigeria. How did they jump all these countries? So don't be citing Biden as an economist. What Biden has said about inflation in America as a result of Putin's war, to come and justify the hyperinflation we chalked in 54% in Ghana. What you did is not the same as what the American government did. And there are significant differences. Don't even go there. Your own MPs, even when they saw that the problem was a mismanagement problem, came together, all of them, and said the finance minister had to go. Ken must go. You remember? If it was because of global factors, why did they say that Ken must go? Because they knew that aside the global factors, there was an element of recklessness and mismanagement. And so, look, the bottom line, like my national youth organizer said, boys they holler, girls they tire. People are suffering. And this marginal reduction in inflation, although good, will not bring about the relief Ghanaians are looking for, because prices will still be high. It is only the rate of increase which has slowed down. Aside that, there are other factors, because when you are discussing the state of an economy, you are not just looking at the inflation rate. Look at the exchange rate today. Today you need almost 16 cedis to get $1. Imagine the impact of that on businesses, on people's lifetime savings. Imagine 16 cedis. You understand? So we are not out of the woods yet. And when our friends come on platforms like this, they must acknowledge that and stop trying to make flimsy excuses, okay, for their own recklessness and mismanagement, which has plunged us into this mess. We were not supposed to get to that hyper level of inflation rate of 54% in 2022 if they had not engaged in the reckless spending they engaged in 2020 and 2021 and 2022. Right. In spite of the global factors, inflation would have still been significantly low, like it was in most of the African countries surrounding us, if they had been responsible and prudent in their economic management.
Right. So guys, we'll do this. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll spend 10 minutes to wrap up on this, and then we'll look at your youth
manifesto. Yeah.
We'll be back shortly.
Thank you.
She's coming. She's coming!
Oh, it's in.
Red Hour seatbelt!
Boss, let's go back.
Here, take this.
She's coming.
I know. Go to the pharmacy now.
She's coming! Oh.
She's here. Pay faster, pay safer, and pay easy with Momo app. Download now and pay with the QR code, merchant ID, and so much more.
Experience the enhanced protection of Star Motor Third Party Extra from Star Assurance, an enhanced motor third party insurance policy that provides cover for loss or damage to your vehicle's windscreens, side mirrors, back glass, and other glass components. Whether it's a crack or major damage, you can drive with the assurance that your vehicle is well protected. Our commitment to you includes affordable coverage options and a claims process that is both fast and straightforward, so you spend less time dealing with paperwork and more time on the road. Also, we have proudly partnered with Hope for Little Lives, an organization dedicated to supporting children in need. By choosing Star Motor Third Party Extra, you're protecting your vehicle and making a positive impact. Every policy you buy helps bring joy and support to children in underserved communities. Reach out to us now on our toll-free numbers 0800-177-177 or 0302-245-906 to sign up. Let us help you drive with peace of mind and purpose. Star Motor Third Party Extra. Drive with confidence, give back with heart.
Star Assurance, your solid partner. Bet. Blast. Boom. Exclusively on Betway. Win up to 300% more when you play FlyX with Win Boost from Betway. Betway, get way more.
In today's modern world, stairs are a challenge, especially for our elderly and those with health concerns. Navigating them can be difficult and even dangerous, but there's a safer way to move vertically. Lifts and Elevators Limited Company, your answer to a more accessible and secure vertical transportation. Our elevators and escalators, including top-of-the-line pneumatic vacuum elevators, Fuji elevators and escalators, offer a safer and more convenient alternative, eliminating the risks of stairs and enhancing accessibility for homes, businesses, and hospitals. Choose safety and convenience with Lifts and Elevators Limited Company. Elevate your spaces today. For more information, visit our website at www.elevatorsgh.org or call now on 0200-535-515. Lifts and Elevators Limited Company, the elevator people.
Anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath.
I'm a friend, Missy Wayne.
The patch of Bantama.
Machasi. It's her smile.
The fresh breath.
Me Gidi say we use Cal 360 toothpaste. Some kind. Cal 360 toothpaste.
Gaskia, Cal 360 toothpaste. It's a gum protector. Onim jom kasa.
Kile Hossein. Cal 360 did the way. It's cool mint. Gives me fresh breath and your confidence booster.
You will see so feeling ye. Cal 360 toothpaste.
Happy smile.
Cal 360 toothpaste, anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath. Cal, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
Now let me tell you why you should choose Safari Valley as your conference destination.
The new conference building combines modern amenities with the tranquility of nature, providing the perfect backdrop for your next seminar and corporate retreat.
The only conference destination with so many activities. You don't have to travel to visit your tennis club, the gym, or the stables. They have it all.
Enjoy this rooftop viewing deck, basking in the sunlight with the sight of wild animals roaming freely in their natural habitat.
At my break, I'm able to practice my putting.
It's a unique experience that sparks creativity and rejuvenates the mind.
Visit Safari Valley Eco Resort in Ghana, bringing you closer to nature.
Krachi, unemu bua unkoisha Dr. Ba uye denwa.
Yanga, oh mesi yamfani ko mami buruwa.
Ayi mami go buru. Ko ni atele be ko bra. Mumi yamfani ko Dr. Ba ho. Dr. Ba no ya de. Bra, se ba no mpemu adwuma, sasabro sro.
Dr. Banboy.
Oh, no, Pemunim, the on one I expect Nyaza for no. Or cry any Kumasi, no Pemu expect young country.
Hello. Star 712
Here is to the friends who took the chance with no regrets. Investors no more hating fortune. To the health workers who diagnosed lacks every move. And then to the hard guy who couldn't hold his emotions. To the passionate fan who couldn't contain his joy. To the seamstress who turned her hand-earned stitches into a bundle of joy. And now, here is to you. Your next big win is right here. From 1st July 2024, dial star 712 hash. Akoswato tickets as a group, individual, to win in the community draw or the grand draw on the 30th of November 2024. Unlock your luck with star 712 hash.
Created by the NLA on the Caritas platform, not for persons below 18 years. T&Cs apply.
Welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. Still me on the show. I have Dr. Frank Bano and Sammy Jemfi. But I guess so cool. That goes some more down be big, but better is cash out be bigger. iHand's early partial and auto cash out feature lets you cash your bets out early, cash out a portion of your ongoing bets, or even set your bets to cash out automatically. All this is to give you way more control of every thrilling bet you place. Sign up today at betway.com.gh. Terms and conditions apply. This is regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. It's not for persons under 18. Betway, get way more. And Blue Jeans energy drink has been on the Ghanaian market for over 20 years. We already know what it does for the body. It contains vitamins and nutrients like vitamin B2, B3, B6, B12, as well as taurine and guarana, which are known to boost your strength and energy, as well as promote high performance and endurance. Blue Jeans energy drink has been tested and tried. It's indeed the best. Blue Jeans energy drink is for bold and active men and women. So go and grab a cold can and power your day. It's in shops nationwide. You can reach Budget Cash and Carry Limited on 0208-128-190, 0550010000. Okay. So Doc and Sammy, let's spend some 8-10 minutes on this and then we'll move on. Let me start over you, Doc.
Randy,
yes.
I don't know, but I think I don't want to turn the show into a classroom lecture. But I think there is so much misinformation and misconception about transmission mechanism in terms of monetary policy. Okay. If I listen to the argument that my brother made, okay, at one point he contends that inflation in Francophone West African countries were low, and how come that inflation in Ghana was high? I mean, Randy, I'm sure you have gone through these rudiments, and you know that there's something we call exchange rate regime. Now, an exchange rate regime is a very, very important factor in determining the pricing of goods and services in a country. Now, if you look at Francophone West Africa and Francophone Central East Africa, all these countries are in a pegged monetary exchange rate regime. In other words, initially, the CFA franc was pegged to the French franc before the France as a country moved on to the euro. And then France migrated them from the CFA franc to the euro. So in other words, the strength of the CFA franc in terms of its exchange rate dynamics is derived from the strength of the euro. Are you getting it? So comparing a floating exchange rate regime, a country that practices floating exchange rate regime, to a country that is practicing pegged exchange rate regime, is a non-starter. So let me make this point. Yes. No student of economics will, even in the first place, in his wildest of dreams, compare these two economies.
So since when has this existed?
It has existed since France gave independence. I have a study.
No, there's a reason why I'm asking you this. Since when has this existed?
It has existed since France gave independence to these countries.
Okay. So why were Dr. Baumia and Nana Akufo-Addo comparing Cote d'Ivoire with Ghana?
So
all the time.
So I'm coming. So I'll explain it.
Yes.
You see, when it comes to exogenous factors, you see, in fact, if you remember, one of the reasons why the world moved from the Bretton Woods institution of gold as a standard and came to the dollar was because of a pandemic that struck the world. Okay? You remember, in those days, gold was the anchor of every currency, especially for the advanced economies, until the Great Depression between 1929 to 1933 occurred. That was one altered the existing exchange rate regimes. Now, before the pandemic, and I gave you the pricing of freight. I gave you the pricing of freight. The pricing of freight changed after the pandemic. Now, because we use a floating exchange rate regime, so I was coming to talk about the advantages and the disadvantages of these exchange rate regimes. So the advantages and disadvantages will be shown when you are hit by an exogenous factor. So, for example, if you take the Francophone African countries, they keep 50% of their reserve with the Central Bank of France.
So how come all of them? Yeah. How come all the Francophone countries don't record the same inflation rate?
Yes, they won't record the same inflation rate. Yes, but the disparities will be different.
Why?
Yes, because of the what do you call it, endogenous factors.
So it's not just about
no, but the difference will not be huge. If you want, Google and see. The difference, you won't have a situation whereby inflation in Ivory Coast is, let's say, 5%.
Yes.
Then you go to, let's say, Central African Republic. Yes. You have inflation to be, let's say, 12%. You won't have it.
You will.
You won't. Check it.
Okay.
Check the data. I'll show you. Now, let me come to the point I am making. Yes. So the point I am making is that when you have a country whereby the exchange rate regime is fixed, it doesn't matter the exogenous impact that hits your economy. The exchange rate does not change unless the anchor changes. Meanwhile, when you come to Ghana, because we practice the float exchange rate regime, it simply means that it is determined by demand and supply.
Yes.
So once the supply, which is coming from the BOG, and the BOG is relying on reserves, and to point out with, our major source of foreign exchange reserve is not from FDI, like my brother opined. In fact, if you look at the data, FDI since 2021 to the entire African region has decreased year on year by 43%. So that is the data for him, maybe if he's not aware of the data. Okay. So one of the most important sources of FDI, of foreign exchange for Ghana is through our exports. That is our major source of foreign exchange. Now, as I have said, you remember when these, especially when COVID hit, and you saw that there was a decline in global exports, in terms of the demand, in terms of the pricing on the global market. So there was that shortfall in terms of revenue differential. So what it simply means that it had a larger impact on our foreign reserves. That's why I made the point that in 2019, Ghana had one of its highest foreign reserves, which was the 4.8 months of import cover, which is one of the highest.
How did the COVID inflows impact on our reserves?
Yes, but that is what I'm trying to explain.
I'm saying inflows. Yes. How did they impact?
Yes.
What we got as a result of COVID?
Yes.
Yes.
The COVID inflows?
Yes.
You mean the loans?
Yes, the loans and grants and all
no,
that.
but Randy, you and I know that when you get a loan is tied to a particular project. It doesn't go into the... A reserve is something that you are keeping, you are not touching.
No, you still don't get the point I'm making. I'm saying that during COVID, we had access to funds that other than COVID, we will not have access to them.
How much was this fund, Randy? That is the question that you asked. I have heard a lot of people make this point.
Yes.
If you take the total funds that we are looking at in contest, how much was this fund?
About 30 billion.
$30 billion?
Cedis.
Oh, no, Randy.
So
is it, so this is...
Why did you say no?
Also remember that because of COVID, there was so much unplanned expenditure, which was not captured in the 2020 budget that government needed to undertake. Remember, government needed to take even hospital bills of patients who had got contracted COVID-19.
I just want us to put, you see, my point is that it looks like we dwell on the expenditures associated with COVID and use that to make a statement. But the truth is that there were also inflows associated with COVID. Why don't we?
And I'm talking about,
Randy, together and
Randy, is the same thing of you saying that, oh, today Ghana has signed on to the IMF program. IMF has given you 360 million. Why don't you put that money in your reserve? Are you getting the point? It is a mismatch.
Why?
Because it is tied to a particular thing, what you are supposed to do. For the reserve is the revenue that you are getting. So, for example, the reserve is the case by you, Randy Abbey. You work with Metro TV. You know that every month you are entitled to 2,000 Ghana cedis. Out of 2,000 Ghana cedis, your total expenditure is 1,000 Ghana cedis. So you are keeping your 1,000 Ghana cedis in your bank account. That is the reserve. But whereby you go and sign in a loan agreement and say that I am taking 100 Ghana cedis, I am coming to use it to build the road. That is the agreement. That is what Parliament has approved. Can you come and divert that money into your bank account?
The government does that every day.
I'm not aware of, unless, Randy, you have evidence. I am not aware of.
ESLA is one of such pieces of evidence. And when it came to
COVID, is it using this as a collateral, or they diverted the money into the reserve of the central bank?
No.
You see, there are two different things here, Randy. You see, that's why I don't want us to. Yes. So now to come back to the issue. So you see, that is the reason why you saw inflationary rate in these countries not as high as the inflation that we're experiencing in Ghana. So that's why my brother keeps saying that, okay, the government undertook reckless spending. Be that is made that is true. Does it also mean that in 2012, when the NDC government under the then vice president who had been sworn in as caretaker president, John Dramani Mahama, and within July to December, our expenditure, you remember that during when he was sworn in as acting president, I quote unquote, a lot of supplementary budget went to Parliament. And for that matter, our deficit, which was initially projected to be about 7% of GDP, actually climbed to 11.6% of GDP. Does it mean that John Dramani Mahama was reckless? It's a question I'm putting to you, Randy. Does it mean he was reckless? Is that what he's trying to tell me? It's not true. So that's why I've said that. For central bank, in fact, Randy, let me give you an example. Germany had a Fiscal Responsibility Act, you can check. But as a result of COVID-19 pandemic, the act was set aside by the Parliament of Germany until date, so that the Central Bank of Germany could fund government activities.
But this is a bad example, because in Ghana's case, in Ghana's case, for 2020, the Parliament of Ghana gave an exception to the Central Bank to give money to government beyond what it was. So they did that.
So what was the threshold? Randy, so it's about the threshold. It's not that about.
No, you don't get what. Just please listen to me. In Germany, the Central Bank of Germany did not act contrary to the law. The law was set aside by the Parliament to enable them do what they did. In Ghana, one of the acts was set aside. I don't know if it's still been restored.
It's the Fiscal Responsibility Act, which was actually passed by the NPP government in 2019. Not the NDC.
It doesn't matter.
No, it's fine. Go on. I just want to put information.
It doesn't matter. All I'm telling you is that we are dealing with two things. One has to do with central bank lending, and one has to do with the Fiscal Responsibility Act. The Parliament of Ghana set aside the Fiscal Responsibility Act because of COVID. In the case of central bank lending, there was an exception which was made for that year one, that gave government 10 billion. It had nothing to do with 5% of the previous year's lending. So the law on how much the central bank can lend to government was never set aside by the Parliament of Ghana, contrary to what happened in the case of Germany. So if Germany did what they did because their parliament set aside the law, it was within the law. You can't compare that to the Ghanaian situation.
Is it Randy? That's why I asked you the question about threshold. Okay.
Yes.
If you take what is Ghana's GDP today? Ghana's GDP is over 1 trillion.
Yes.
1 trillion Ghana cedis.
Yes.
Now, if you take 5% of 1 trillion, how much is that?
That's not what the law says.
No.
The law says that lend to government not more than 5% of the previous year's tax revenue. It has nothing to do with GDP. That's what the law is.
Randy.
Unless you have not read it. But that's what the law is.
Okay, Randy.
Yeah.
So that was why I'm making the point that if government, you see, one of the things we should also get right is that the central bank exists to ensure economic growth and stability.
In conformity with the law.
Obviously. Yes. And you see, Randy, let me ask as a monetary economist, look, why does the U.S. central bank, why does it always print money to finance the U.S. government's activities? Sometimes it even exceeds the threshold that it's supposed to be. Why? Because government can never go into a meltdown when the central bank exists.
All right, okay, Doc.
This is basic monetary policy.
Let me bring Sammy into
Doc, you see, my brother is shouting and
that's probably how he speaks. This is the first
sure. Banding a lot of economic
That's probably how he
jargons,
speaks.
you know,
So
but he's not addressing the issues. Doc, we are saying that the economic quagmire we were plunged into in 2020, the ramifications of which we are still experiencing, which has occasioned the suffering and hardships we are going through, is largely as a result of the recklessness and the mismanagement of the Bawumia-chaired economic mismanagement team. He is saying that no, it's because of COVID-19 and Russia, Ukraine. Doc, he said that the budget deficit in 2020 was 11.7%, right? And I corrected.
No, but we have dealt with that issue. It was
has
below
it
the
now
line.
accepted?
No, it's below the line.
So let me give him another evidence so that he won't repeat that claim anywhere again. Doc, page 27 of Bawumia's own lecture. Let me give you the title of the lecture. This was a lecture by Bawumia at the National TESCON Conference, Millennium City, Kaswa, Yesu Krom, 7th April 2022. Doc, 7th April 2022. Page 27, anybody can Google it. When I cite documents, I just want people to authenticate and see that we are talking about facts here. Bawumia has table 4 in his speech. And the title is Fiscal Deficit, GDP percent in selected African countries. Ghana, 2020, 15%. So even Bawumia is quoting 15%. The World Bank says 16%.
That's
so don't say 11%. Now he has moved from that. Okay. Now he says that I am comparing Francophone countries to Ghana. But that was not what I did. I compared Ghana's inflation rate of 54% to inflation rate of other African countries. I was referring to all the 54 countries in Africa. And that is why you heard me mention Nigeria. Is Nigeria a Francophone country?
Okay, but you mentioned Cote d'Ivoire.
Yes, so it was not just Burkina and Cote d'Ivoire, the Francophone countries. I mentioned Nigeria. Okay. What was the inflation rate of Nigeria in 2022? 18.8%. So if we did 54%, you can't say that it is because of COVID or Russia, Ukraine.
Right.
That's number 2. Okay. Now, Doc, even on the argument of, don't compare Ghana to Francophone countries, totally, I don't
He's given us the reason.
No, he said that, because of floating, exchange rate, blah, 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 and that no economics will compare Ghana. Are you a better economist than Bawumia?
No, you don't understand what
Are you
saying.
a better economist than Bawumia?
They practice PET.
Hold on. Are you a better economist than
What's
Bawumia?
the point you're making?
Yes.
This is page 27 of Bawumia.
What does it say?
Please, hold on.
We will say what it
I didn't
says.
interject you once.
Doc, hold on.
Yeah,
Bawumia is comparing Ghana to 4 African countries.
Okay.
In terms of budget deficit, page 27 of his lecture. And the African countries include Cote d'Ivoire.
Okay.
Let me take you to page 12 on inflation, what we are discussing today. Page 12. In fact, page 14. Inflation rate in selected African countries. He does the comparison and analysis. You don't have time, I would have read that to you.
Yeah.
He compares that to USA, UK, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana. That is the table. What is the meaning of this? Who introduced Cote d'Ivoire and Francophone countries as comparators in Ghana's political discourse? Is it not Akufo-Addo and Bawumia? And today you are coming to sit here propounding, strange economic theories that you can't compare Ghana to Cote d'Ivoire.
It's not strange.
What are you talking about?
His view. It's not strange.
And his view is not borne out by the fact.
That's why I asked him.
Yes.
When that theory, how long it's been existing? I intentionally
that view is even flawed, inherently flawed. Let me demonstrate that to you.
Right.
You see, you may be an economic lecturer, but you see,
so I'll go to the point.
Look, Doc, inherently flawed. If you claim that high inflation we chopped in Ghana was because of global factors, and that Biden was even affected, then Francophone countries were not an exception. If Biden's America was affected by the factors we were talking about, then the Francophone countries, whether their currency is pegged to the euro or whatever, will not be an exception. So in that same case,
I mentioned the transmission mechanism. That's what I said, right?
I have a master's degree in economic policy.
No, you don't understand it.
I have studied monetary policy just like you. Yes.
What is the transmission mechanism?
Please.
You don't understand it.
Let me talk. You don't understand. Hold on.
Frank, you don't understand it. I said it happened.
I didn't interject you.
A pandemic, and I gave you the case of 1939 to 1933,
so look at this.
which altered the gold standard to the dollar.
Frank,
go to your lecture. Let me talk economics. You don't understand it. No, don't come and misquote me and say that what you are saying. You don't understand economics. Monetary. I supervise master's students, just like yourself. What did they write? You don't understand the transmission mechanism. So please don't misquote me.
That's fine.
Quote me well. That's what I'm saying. Correct him.
Frank, you made
don't misquote me.
No, we are not having a shouting match.
It's okay.
I was there when you were engaging for about 10 minutes and you went on and on and on. You are saying that I compare Ghana to Francophone countries.
Yes.
That is a lie. Relative to inflation, I cited inflation rate in Africa in 2022. And Ghana's inflation rate was the third highest. Nigeria is not a Francophone country. I cited that. You lied.
Right.
Number two, I want to demonstrate to you that in terms of comparing Ghana to Francophone countries, it is Bawumia who knows economics better than you who taught us that. And I have read his economic lectures where he compares Ghana's inflation rate to that of Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana's budget deficit to that of Cote d'Ivoire. So if you are saying that Bawumia Bonwa, say so. Now again,
can we move to?
No, hold on, Doc. I beg you. He had 10 minutes. Let's deal with this.
No.
Doc, I beg you. I'll do this in 2-3 minutes. Sure, no problem.
For the youth manifesto.
Look, he sat here right now. You see, when they pretend as if they know everything, they end up even contradicting themselves. During his first submission, he stated that the economic challenges we experienced in 2015-2016 was without exogenous shocks. Didn't you hear him say that? Then he sits here again, second submission, or say Ghana, our export earnings has to do with our commodities, our good oil. What happened in 2015-2016 with our commodity prices? Whether it was oil or gold or cocoa, total collapse of international commodity prices. And you sit here, you say you supervise master students, and you tell us that exogenous factors did not affect Ghana's economy in 2015-2016. What are you talking about? Then again, let me educate you on the law. Master, let me make my point. Let the viewers judge. Let the viewers judge. Let me make my point. Let the viewers judge. Master, I did not interject you. You keep on interjecting me, and I can do that better than you.
I don't care.
So let me make my point. Let me make my point.
I spoke about pandemic.
Let me make my point. It is my time. Why are you interjecting me?
During the era of the NDC.
Stop this.
That's what I said.
Stop this.
Why are you screaming? It is my time.
The pandemic resulted in this exogenous impact. That is where I made my argument from.
Frank, please.
When you were speaking, I didn't utter a word. When you were speaking, I didn't utter a word. How did I misquote you?
That is what you are. That's what I'm correcting you.
You said that they
as a result of the pandemic.
What as a result of the pandemic?
I gave you the cost of free.
Don't put us together. I didn't interject once. This is my time.
But I won't sit here. I know Sami Gentry.
Please listen to me.
I know what he can do. I won't sit here for you to.
What I can do? Do I kill people?
Can you listen to me?
Am I a killer? What
so
can
please
I do?
correct him.
Can you listen to me?
Yes, I'm
What
listening
do you want
to
me to correct him about?
You see, I said that as a result of the pandemic, it resulted in exogenous impact. And I gave the case of freight, which was $1,300 before. And it went to about $8,800. And I gave so that if anyone goes to buy something, okay, if anyone goes to buy something, the person will now factor in the cost of this 8 times change.
Are you saying, Frank, are you saying that you did not say in your submission that in 2015, when inflation went up that way, there was no exogenous factors?
I was referring to the pandemic and the Russian
No, but you didn't say that.
No, specifically, that's what I was referring
to. Man, why are you doing this?
Say that.
Why are you lying on national TV? But you didn't say it.
But for me, I have absolute clarity.
Doc, what is the meaning of this? Doc,
you see, that's what I was
referring to. Doc, I think you're not being fair to me. I have not, since we started this program, I have not interjected him once.
That's fine, just go on.
But he does this repeatedly. He's shouting on top of his voice, and the impression is created that all of us are being, no. You stated categorically that the economic challenges we had in 2015, 2016 was without exogenous. And for you, those of you who don't understand, it was without external factors. Yes. You are saying you meant pandemic. So we should have entered your head to know what you meant. That we are talking about what you said on the platform. Right. And I am saying that if commodities prices, gold, cocoa, oil, collapse in 2015, 2016, and that is a fact, you can't say that exogenous factors did not affect our economy. Right. Then he doesn't even understand the laws he's quoting. Doc, the fiscal responsibility, when we talk about the financing of central government by the Bank of Ghana, it's got nothing to do with Fiscal Responsibility Act. I said fiscal, that there are two separate. But he was still confusing it. So let's give the education for the public to understand. The Fiscal Responsibility Act is an act about fiscal policy. The finance minister is the one with oversight over that. Okay? And it is about the budget deficit, not crossing a threshold of 5%. So in emergencies, the Parliament of Ghana can increase the threshold. Yes. You understand? When it comes to the central bank printing money to finance government, it is a function of the Bank of Ghana Act, Section 30. It's got nothing to do with fiscal responsibility under the finance minister. And when it comes to the Bank of Ghana Act, the only way you can exceed the threshold of 5%, not of deficit, but of the revenue of the previous fiscal year, is when there is a tripartite meeting between the governor, the Ministry of Finance, and so on, and they decide to revise the threshold and inform Parliament. That is what Section 30 says. We have discussed this here times with that number. Governor, Minister, Controller, they meet to revise the threshold of 5% of the total revenue of the previous fiscal year, and they inform Parliament. That is Section 30, I believe, subsection 6 of the Bank of Ghana Act. So when you are sitting here citing Germany, okay, giving its government a special reprieve on fiscal responsibility, you have deviated. You don't even understand what you're talking about. So, Doc, the bottom line here is that this government was reckless in its expenditure in 2020. He came here and peddled falsehood that the deficit was 11%. The IMF says it is 16%. And Bawumia himself says in his lecture that it is 15%. And that 15% budget deficit was one of the highest in Africa, which therefore shows that the problem was recklessness and mismanagement, and not any of the global factors he's citing. Not on the manifesto. It's a very simple thing. Doc, you see, the NDC prioritizes the welfare of young people. And that is why for the first time in the history of this country, we've had a major political party in this country launch a manifesto just for the youth. And we did this on a very important day when we're celebrating International Youth Day. We put out our vision, our policies for young people in this country. Because to John Mahama, young people should be the priority of any government if we want to see the transformation we all yearn for. And Doc, for me, the key highlights that I would want to highlight within the limited time we have is the policy of no fee stress announced by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and captured in the Youth Manifesto, Christen the Pledge. You see, Doc,
maybe you can only speak on that because. Okay,
let me just speak on that.
It's 10:30.
Okay, Doc. So you know that there are a lot of young people who complete their WASI. They pass. Some get 6 A's, 7 A's, 8 A's, good aggregates. They get admissions, and they are not able to go to school. Yeah. Okay, because their parents cannot afford the admission fee. And you see, what people don't know that in the case of the first years, until you pay your fees, you are not a student. You are not recognized as a student. Your admission becomes void. So that entry point is very important. And President Mahama is saying that given the economic challenges Ghanaians are going through, given the high cost of tertiary education today, it is not justifiable that government will leave parents and their wards to their own fate. Okay, because the time frame between when the admission is given to the student and when he or she is supposed to pay that money, lest they forfeit the admission, is usually very, very short. So President Mahama is saying that when we vote for him, effective 7 January 2025, no new entrants into a public tertiary institution, be it public university, technical university, college of education, nursing training, and so on, will pay academic fees because his government will fully absorb the academic fees for all first-year students. Free university education for you, all first-year students in public tertiary institutions. And look, I have some data here which is scary. KNUST, if you check the basic statistics for their 50-seat congregation, 2023 academic year, 42,019 students were admitted. 42,019 students were admitted. Only 29,420 enrolled. So about 13,000 admitted they couldn't go to school. Yes, I know that a few of them might have chosen other schools, so may go there. But a chunk of them could not go because their parents could not afford. You come to UCC, it's the same thing. UCC 2023-2024 academic year, the WASI candidates, what they call awaiting, 13,388 applications, 8,261 admissions. Only 3,313 were able to enroll. So there is a serious problem, and that is why, if you look at Article 25, specifically 1C of the Constitution, the framers of the Constitution envision that once we are done with basic education in terms of access and affordability, and we move to SHS, and we are done with access and affordability, the next stage should be tertiary and other higher learning institutions. And they've said that we should do free tertiary education progressively. So the data supports it. There is a genuine need, even on social media.
What happens after year one?
What happens after year one is that year two, you will have the Student Loan Trust Fund Plus, which allows you to apply for a loan to support your fees. Because you see, after year one, you have become a student. Even when you owe school fees, you can negotiate and pay. But year one, if you don't pay, you will not be registered. You forfeit your admission. So the student loan will be there for them. But you know that with persons living with disabilities, they are going to have free tertiary education from year 1 to year 4 in all the tertiary institutions.
Yesterday, Judge Jenfi was here and he hinted that these were in your 2020 manifesto.
What the accurate thing is that what we captured in the manifesto was the 50% Chinfe.
Yeah, he supported it with a
press release I issued, signed by Samuel Uvozwampofo, our national chairman at the time, on the 2nd of December, because our policy group on education did some studies and sent us a proposal that instead of the 50%, we can do 100%. They did the statistics. John Mahama approved it. So after the launch of the manifesto, we announced a policy called Fanina and said that we're not going to do 50%, we're going to do 100%. So it is very much in line with our policy to make tertiary education progressively free, starting with the first years. And the continuing students, for the time being, will have the Student Loan Trust Fund Plus to support. They can get loans to support. And the PWDs, persons with disabilities, will have total free SHS. So, and as for free SHS, you know what JM said. We are abolishing double track. We are providing a dedicated source of funding. We are decentralizing the feeding. We are improving it to make it sustainable and better for our children.
Okay. Doc?
Yeah, Randy, so quick one. I think, say, when you were in a lecture and the lecturer is speaking, you should pay attention. You know, it's very, very important. It's the reason why we've produced so many university students, but they are very poor in working in the environment. Now, I spoke about central bank financing of government debt. If you remember, I built my point from the fact that there's already a precedence that in 2012, when the government then, John Dramani Mahama's government, exceeded, the deficit was about 11.6% of GDP. This is not Dr. Bano saying it, those of you who are watching me. This is the 2013 World Bank report that says that the central bank financed the 11.6% of percent of GDP deficit.
Yeah. So what's the point?
So the point I'm making is that if you take, let's even assume it is 15%, and the government today is being financed by the central bank, the point I'm making is that the precedence has already been set.
The difference, and I pointed out to you, that when that occurred, we didn't have that law passed by Parliament, which limits
that
the
law was
central
passed
bank.
in 2016.
Yes, which limits the central bank. We didn't have that law. But now we have a law. It is because of that occurrence that we had a law.
So Randy.
So you can't have a law
Randy.
And in 2016, we had
Randy,
zero financing of
Randy.
central government.
No, but that was after this had occurred in 2012.
Yes, Doctor. So
you see, so Randy, so if what you are saying, let's accept that is the reality.
No, that's the fact.
Yes. So if government flouts, what is
the central bank and government?
Yes. Yeah. What is Parliament supposed to do?
No, it's not Parliament. It's criminal prosecution. A breach of the Bank of Ghana Act is a crime.
It's clear. There's
section
60.
That's why I came to make the point about monetary policy. And I started the case of the United States. I started the case of Germany, and I'm starting the case of England. Right. That the core function of every central government, central bank, and in our case, our central bank, the Bank of Ghana, is to ensure economic stability. So as far as economic stability is threatened, and there's actually a publication that was published in 2022 by the Swiss University, saying that as far as economic stability is threatened, every central bank would intervene. This is me speaking economics.
Intervene illegally and criminally.
Is it Randy? For me, I am not a lawyer.
Doc, I don't have a problem.
Yes.
All I'm saying is that...
No, I understand your point.
Let's see, you had two laws.
Yes.
2 laws.
The fiscal responsibility.
You had the fiscal responsibility and the central government act.
Yes.
When COVID occurred, it was the finance ministry that went to Parliament and said that, look, we have an emergency.
Yeah.
We can't continue with this thing. Parliament set it aside. Parliament unanimously set it aside. If for any reason the central bank believed that it had to do things beyond what the law said, what should it have done?
No, I am not disputing that. But what I'm saying is, that is the law you are talking about. I am speaking about economics. You see, there are 2 different arguments here. I am speaking as a monetarist.
Interestingly, this is a central bank.
Yes.
That relies on the law.
I know.
Anything the central bank does.
But the central bank is a creature of law.
You see, Randy,
and it has a governing law.
Yeah. You see, so that was the point I made. That was the point I made. Yeah. So that's why he was misquoting me. Then I came to the issue of the exchange rate regime, how it generates inflation. You see, that was the lecture I was providing to him. Then he said he had a master's or whatever. I don't know who taught him that. Yeah. You see, what I was saying is, once you have a pegged exchange rate regime and there is a pandemic, unless the anchor currency also suffers, if not, your currency will still remain afloat.
In this case, it suffered.
No, the anchor currency did not have, the rate of depreciation was not like ours. You see? Because the anchor currency is the euro. So the depreciation was marginal. But our case, because we are practicing the floating exchange rate regime, which is hinged on demand and supply, the supply is now coming from your central bank, which reserves has been depreciated. So automatically you are going to depleted. So automatically you are going to have a free fall. So the rate of depreciation will be different from the anchored currency.
You made a point.
Yeah, so in that terms, if people are pricing goods, yours is going to be more or less the quadruple, even if you are taking just the exchange rate side. Then you bring in the other aspect, which is now talking about the shipment cost. So that was the argument I was making. So that's what I'm saying. It is important every student pays attention in class, so that you don't misquote your lecturer. Now, let me quickly touch on the things you spoke about.
And then, to lie on that you've been in the schools continuously, and you're here throwing your weight about. You lied about budget deficit, you lied about printing of money, you don't even understand laws you are quoting, and you're here bragging.
Sammy, as for laws, if you say I don't understand law, I'm not a lawyer. So
we don't have time.
I will admit it.
So why does Bawumia compare Ghana
and transmission mechanism? I can lecture.
Then go and lecture Bawumia.
Now
go and lecture Bawumia and tell Bawumia not to compare Ghana to Cote d'Ivoire. Go and lecture Bawumia.
These are people who told us that they were going to implement free progressive senior high school education.
They started or they told you?
I don't know whether they started or this. For me, maybe that was the time I left. So
he doesn't know a lot of things.
Now, and for that matter, they were going to pay 38 Ghana cedis a term.
It's a lie.
Right?
A lie.
I mean, I have it here.
You don't have anything. It's a lie. It's not 38 Ghana cedis. Don't come in. Don't lie again.
Make the point.
You must know the one you are debating. Don't lie. Because you're exposed. It is not 38 cedis.
So, Randy, let me read my source to you. Sami Davis says I'm lying.
It's a lie.
So this is 16 July 2024.
Okay.
Mahama and NDC can't claim free SHS. They didn't start it. Manasa Azuri Awuni is making this claim.
Yes.
And I go on to read, because since he says I'm lying, I'm reading it here, so that Manasseh, it means that Manasseh lied. Then we should take Manasseh.
So we know about Manasseh is your source.
We know about that.
Manasseh, I have corrected him. If you like,
point I am making,
he doesn't even know what he's talking about.
He promised 38 Ghana cedis.
It is not true. That was the first release. And Manasseh only divided that first release by the population of SHS students. You just go and pick a figure you don't understand. That Manasseh, even in conversations with me, I considered you got wrong.
The free progressive senior high school, they couldn't do it. How much more are they promising that they are going to do what they call first year?
Okay. So you don't believe they can?
Then the next part, Randy, please, you gave me enough time. Give me.
No, you use your time to discuss.
Randy, please.
No, I can't.
You gave Sammy enough.
No.
Let me finish this last one. Randy, let me finish this last one. You see, these are the same people. We sat in this country in 2008. They told us that they were going to implement one-time premium when Kufuor had already introduced NHIs. Only for them, Ghanaians, to vote them into power. And then they come to tell us that, oh, Ghanaians, we are sorry. The econometricians and the actuaries that we use to do this calculation, they did not understand why they did. And for that matter, we've now found better actuaries who have now come to tell us that the one-time premium is not feasible. If these people with this track record now come to tell you that they are going to do another free thing, then it's up to the Ghanaians to look at it.
It's important information just in 30 seconds. GES issued this press release as the approved fees for the 2016-2017 academic year. So this is the absorbed fees under progressive free SHS.
Which document are you reading?
This GES press release. And this is the table. So that they stop peddling this 38 cedis lie. So the management of Ghana Education Service wishes to inform parents, students and heads of schools of the approved fees of the 2016-2017 academic year for senior high schools. So progressively free absorbed fees, examination fees 10 cedis, entertainment fees 2 cedis, library fees 3 cedis, SRC dues 2 cedis, sports fees 5 cedis, culture fees 3 cedis, co-curricular activities 2 cedis, ICT 3 cedis, national science and maths quiz 5 cedis, science development 3 cedis, development levy 10 cedis, utility 6 cedis, subtotal 54 cedis. Stop lying. Do research before you come and sit on TV and you lie. This GS.
So that will be next. Our conversation with the Minerals Commission has been quite a hectic morning, but I hope we've been able to transit you through the economic theories. Let's talk gold now. It looks promising.
There's no feeling quite like wanting something. You see it when you close your eyes. You feel it against the hairs on your skin. You smell it mingled with the wind. You know it's yours, but you just can't seem to reach it. Until you can. Whatever the dream, we can make it happen. So get up, get started, and make we do up.
In today's modern world, Stairs are a challenge, especially for our elderly and those with health concerns. Navigating them can be difficult and even dangerous, but there's a safer way to move vertically. Lifts and Elevators Limited Company, your answer to a more accessible and secure vertical transportation. Our elevators and escalators, including top-of-the-line pneumatic vacuum elevators, Fuji elevators and escalators, offer a safer and more convenient alternative, eliminating the risks of stairs and enhancing accessibility for homes, businesses, and hospitals. Choose safety and convenience with Lifts and Elevators Limited Company. Elevate your spaces today. For more information, visit our website at www.elevatorsgh.org or call now on 0200-535-515. Lifts and Elevators Limited Company, the elevator people.
Nominations are now open for the 8th edition of the prestigious Ghana Energy Awards until August 30th. Under the theme, the role of local content in building Ghana's energy sector. Categories for this year include the Energy Personality of the Year, CEO of the Year, Visionary Leadership Award, Local Content Legacy Achievement Award, Energy Company of the Year, Local Content Leadership Impact Award, Energy Think Tank of the Year, Rising Star, Energy Reporter of the Year, and many more.
Visit www.GhanaEnergyAwards.com to nominate today.
The Ghana Energy Awards is endorsed by the Ministry of Energy and the World Energy Council Ghana. Validation is done by Forbes Mazars Ghana. Media partners, Metro TV, Graphic News Plus. It's yet another grand edition of the most coveted award platform in Ghana's energy sector. For sponsorship inquiries, please call 030-3940-300. Ghana Energy Awards. 8 years of redefining excellence.
The luckiest.
Star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere. For everyone. Luck it's a missing opportunity to be the luckiest. It's time to put some smile on your face. Still asking what luck means? At Luckiest, we believe it's more than just chance. It's joy waiting to happen.
Let's go.
Dial star 712 hash. Now password to tickets not as a group, individual and as a community. Now participating in the Luckiest from the 1st of July 2024. Grand draw near 30th November 2024. Luck is everywhere with the Luckiest. The Luckiest is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform and is not for persons below 18 years. Terms and conditions apply.
You're still Metro TV and you're watching Good Morning Ghana. Time to talk about gold. Gold. And Mr. Martin Aisi, CEO of the Minerals Commission, is here with us on the show. Good morning, Mr. Aisi.
Morning.
The politicians are disturbing us.
It's okay. At the end of the day, gold determines.
Gold is king.
Gold determines their smoothness level.
So yeah, for the last 2 weeks, we've been talking about the proceeds, and we've been zeroing on a small scale, and it looks like it's the big story now. A quick recap on the small scale thing: the increasing, I don't want to say dominance, but the increasing impact of small scale mining as far as the industry is concerned, and especially receipts and volumes, and what that means for us, how that impacts our economy, what we need to do, how we can make it better.
Okay, Ronnie, thank you very much. I brought some figures.
Yes.
So I want them to put them on the screen. That makes the explanation
all right,
easier.
So production, let's get the data.
Any of them?
Let's get the data now, so we can speak to the data and deal with the issues of gold. So we'll be getting that on the screen. So we have 2024 August daily gold prices per ounce. Is that what you're looking for?
There are several, but we can go through them.
Okay, so this one, what does this tell us?
I wish the other ones would run.
The other ones should come first.
Because then we can still talk about this one, but then.
Okay, this was up to last week, like the first 7 days of August.
This is the
first to 8th.
Now, 1st August, we entered the 2,400 window. So you can see 2,400, and then it's also sweet for 4th August, then 2,3, all the way to 9th. I think they have the figure even up to this morning's trading, which is around 2,458 now. But I think it's quite slow.
So as at this morning, we are 2,458.
It's trading now at 2,458. Yesterday, yeah. So this is
2024 quarter 1, quarter 2.
So you can see
we have January to March, April to June, and then we are July.
So you see the difference. So the bull started running in the second quarter of 20 this year. So the average is 2,300 over 2,300, and then you saw the average between January and March, and then you see the average in July nearly 400. Okay.
Yes.
You can see the average.
About $400.
Yeah, 400. And then we entered 400 in August.
Whoa. Okay.
You can see the difference.
Yes.
You can see the difference. Then you can also see the price, the average for the 7 months.
Yes.
So you can see January 2000. I think the screen is a bit far. So let me just.
You can use this.
Let me just use. Yeah. So January gives you the average for January is 2034. Then you can see 20. Then you can also see March 20. Yes. So March is 2,158.
2158.
Yes. And then you can see the other one, which is May. It's quite phenomenal. Then June. So that gives you the figure for that. I think it's easier on my phone. Just give me a second. Yeah, so it's easier on my phone now. So January was 2,034. That's the average. February 2023, March 2,158, April 2,335, May 2,352, June 2,326. And then I provided that of July 2. You can see that on the screen. So that is it.
Yes.
You can see the price have been going up. So again, let me say this. If you have even bought gold in January, you should be smiling now. Even in January.
Yeah.
The price of gold is, yes. So look at this. Very interesting. Let the person stay here for a while.
Okay.
You see the sharp difference. So the first quarter of this year, the average was 2,069. Look at last year, same time. Barely 1,900.
Yes.
You understand that?
So about 10% change.
Yes. And then the second quarter,
yes,
that's where everything changed. So this year, 2,338. That's why I told you that the entire last year, the price of gold barely or hardly hit 2,000. You understand that? So that's how it looks like. So any rich man or billionaire who bought gold, even in January this year, is still making a lot of money.
Right.
Because as you speak, gold is now trading at about 2,400, over 2,450. So it means that if you bought gold in January and you are selling now, you are making at least, even you are selling this morning, you are making close about $400 on an ounce. Yes, so that is it. I don't see the price falling anytime soon. The average for the third quarter will be far bigger than the second quarter because we've already done 1.5 months of the third quarter. Okay, the third quarter will end in September 30th. Sorry, and we're already halfway. That's 1.5 months, and the price has averaged around at least 400, more than 2,400. So if you look at it, the receipts for the third quarter will be far higher than the second quarter. Far higher.
Right.
But there's a table I wanted to show. That is by far the most interesting thing. I wanted to see how the small scale is doing. I think I sent it to you this morning.
Is it this one? 2024 small scale performance, export value in dollars. So I have January, and it's a year-on-year comparison.
Yes.
So January 2024, I have 170 million as against 88 in 2023. February, $191 million as against 153 in 2023. March, 195, almost 196 as against 112 in 2023. April, $302 million as against 42 million in 2023. What happened in April 2023? Then May, 415 million as against 209 million previous year. Then June, 496 million as against 148.
Randy, just ask yourself. I mean, look at June. Just small scale, nearly $500 million.
Yes, like $500 million.
Our entire royalty, including large scale, we don't get that kind of money. We hardly got $300 million. We hardly got $300 million last year in royalty from the large scale. Just small scale alone, June, nearly $500 million a month. A month. 1 month, just 1 month, almost $500 million. Look at May. Just look at the second quarter from April to June.
Yes.
Compared to same period last year.
Yes.
So you just buy gold and hold and
so the second quarter alone is giving us about 1.2 billion.
Yes.
1.2 billion.
And yes, 1.2 billion
dollars.
Yes, and then I showed you some prices earlier on. I showed you the price between the average price for July was almost 2,400. Okay.
So watch this table. This table is telling us that for the entire 2023, total receipts.
Yes, let them stay here.
Yes.
So the entire 2023.
Yes.
Total receipts was almost 2.2 billion.
Yes.
And slightly higher than cocoa. Small scale last year. And then we've just done 7 months.
Yes.
Look at the figure.
2.28.
And then
about 40,000 more.
Now you see the figure for July. The month just ended roughly 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Almost the same figure in June.
That's the figure for July is almost the same as the best month for 2023, which was October.
Yes. Okay. Yes. And by that time the price of gold was 1,900 thereabouts. Then it hit I think 2,000 in December. You see it, yes. So that is the figure.
So these are the prices up until yesterday.
So if you do the quarter this year, it gives, so that is it. And then this is
the prices
right now.
Up until yesterday.
Right now, yes. So if you like this week. Okay? Yeah, this week. So Monday, 2475, we're praying it nearly crossed 2,500.
Please go back to that slide. On the slide. The slide about this week. The slide about this week. Yes. No. Yes, this one. That's it. So Monday.
No, this one.
Yes, Monday, 2475.10. That's it.
Yes, that's Monday. And then Tuesday, 2462. Wednesday 2447. And then this morning when I was leaving the house, that was the figure. As I speak to you, it's 2458.
So it's gone up?
By just $3.
Okay.
This was around 8 a.m. thereabout when I was leaving the house. So it's now 2458. Now, the highest average for any quarter was the second quarter.
Okay.
Okay, that was around 2,350 something. Then the average for July was almost 2,400. That is 2,396. So let's say almost 2,400. For 2 weeks now, you've seen anything more than 2,450. Let's look at it that way. At least for 2 weeks, you've seen an average of 2,450. You understand that? Yeah. So if you compare July and August, you've seen at least, if you compare the average for July and then the last 2 weeks of August, you've seen an increase of about $50.
Yes.
The next 2 weeks, that is for the end of the month, it will still around, it's likely to stay around this region. We could cross 2,500 because central banks, particularly the Federal Reserve Bank of US, is planning to cut interest rates. Okay, so if you cut interest rates, that means US securities, bonds and co, they don't expect to get much on it. So they'll run to gold. Then as people try to pour money in gold, the price will spike. So we expect to see 2.5. But even if we do an average of 2.3 between now and December, we'll cross 10 billion. Yes, but then...
But what does all this mean for us?
Randy, well, like the Konongo situation we just saw. Randy, let me be honest with you. I'm not the one to say it. I mean, government has admitted that there are economic challenges. Okay? There are economic challenges. COVID, I mean, the fallout of some of these things, haircuts, stuff. Okay? How do you address some of these issues? You need money to do them. Haven't we gone to the IMF for loan? Yes, so if your key export is performing to the high heavens, it means that you'll be able to make more money from taxes. Okay? From taxes, from royalties, and other, fiscal imposts that you collect within the mining space. So that means more money for you. That means that perhaps if this continues the next 2 or so years, or maybe the next 6 months or so, you could exit the program. Or you are not likely to even raise taxes on other areas as a way of making more money. I mean, why do you raise taxes? To make money, to finance government projects. Okay? So if last year we got maybe $250 million from royalties, perhaps this year we could get over 300 million. It means that MIF will now have more money to invest in another mining project as part of indigenizing the sector. It means that government will get more money, GRA, from withholding taxes. Okay? And then, what is a broader picture? The companies spent a lot of money. It's unfortunate Sami Jemfi and Dr. Bano took most of the time. Other than that, I wanted to show you the reports for half a year. I'll do that next week. Next week I'm around. I'll show you the reports for about 6 top mining companies. And then we'll compare it to last year and you see the spending. So if you see a company spending $2 million the whole of last year on catering, and then half year reports, the company is spending $5 million, that is what it means for the economy. Do you understand? That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. If a company has paid, let's say, $2 million in royalties last year, and then just a quarter of this year, they pay, let's say, 10 million. It means more money. And there are all kinds of taxes in the sector. I'll bring you the figure for fuel to see how we are doing. I think 2022 report, 435 million cedis was spent by 13 operations on fuel.
Dollars or cedis?
Dollars. Okay? So you ask yourself, what is going on here? That's a lot of money. And then you have about 1 billion being spent on contract money. Now, as we speak, perhaps the best time to live in Ghana will be between now and the next 2-3 years. Why am I saying so? End of this year, Cardinal will commission. Cardinal. Mm-hmm. If the price stays like this, that means that less than 2 years, they will recover their money, their capital investments. Okay? They've started employing a lot of people. The situation in Upper is that particular area or corridor is changing. It means they will also spend more money on fuel because they will need a lot of fuel to run that mine. It's bigger than Obuasi. Mm-hmm. Every year they will produce about 358,000 ounces. Obuasi is yet to even still hit 300. This year I'm told they will do around 296. But they will get to 400 because it's another ground. It's a bit challenging. So it means that they will spend more money on fuel, catering, okay, contract mining, and all the associated services that come with such a huge mine. Full production will be December next year. They will do a full production in December next year. So the production of gold will go up. And then Azuma will start construction this year. Hopefully lithium will get off its feet because the ratification is pending in Parliament. Then Newmont is commissioning Ahafo North next year, around June. That's about 300,000 ounces. So Cardinal and Azuma alone, that's roughly about 650. No, Cardinal and Ahafo North 650. You add Azuma, you're talking about 800,000 ounces of new, production coming on stream. It means more jobs, more taxes, more royalties, and then things will change for us. That is it. So it's clear that the mining sector is what is actually holding this economy. I'm quite surprised at the sheer, production and the export values from small scale. We see the same thing when it comes to the environmental challenges. I've seen the news this morning, Konongo, where they are digging close to the site. It's not something we should tolerate. I keep asking myself, without attacking anybody, what were the assemblies doing? Because my checks show that the district inspector or officer of Minerals Commission in Konongo picked this long ago on his checks. Fortunately, we have an office in Konongo because it's a mining town. So the officer there asked, I saw the story, I said, what's going on here? He said he picked it, he reported it to the assembly. So it means they did not act. You don't expect the Minerals Commission officer to go and arrest people. I'm not passing the buck, but he has done his job. What is his job? A Minerals Commission's officer is to ensure that wherever mining takes place is done in the most effective and efficient manner, right? He has a vehicle. He's been bought a vehicle by government. He has other, workers with him. He goes around to monitor lawful operations to ensure that it's done properly. They follow the rules. They meet the requirements of the law. And then if there are areas where licenses have not been granted, they know. I mean, when you wake up, when you just tap the shoulders of a Minerals Commission district officer, who is a mining engineer from bed, and say, you see this part of town, there's mining going on that we think is not right. He can just tell on top of his head without going to the site that it's an illegal site. Because he did the inspection. They do the inspection, they do the processing, everything. So they go there. And sometimes, depending on the situation, they may even call for police reinforcement and all those. And let me say this, let me tell you how the rules work. The moment, because the public is interested in knowing this Konongo thing, which is disgusting, close to the road. And I have to talk about it, not just to come and talk about figures. Because then, what is out there is that you take the papers this morning, he's seeing a pit close to the Konongo-Kumasi highway. Then you come and sit on television and mention 3, 4, 5 billion. If that's the case, then we should stop. You should stop it altogether. It's not making sense to the ordinary Ghanaian who you are telling that, look, half year alone, small scale has brought in 2 billion. Is that the kind of thing that is leading to? So I can understand the outrage and the anger. So this is what a typical district officer or inspector does. They go around, look at that, and then inform the district chief executive or municipal chief executive, as the case may be. That is a rule. That I have been to this site. I saw this with pictures, everything. When necessary, he may have to say, look, let's go there. And our district officers are invited to assembly meetings to speak on galamsey and educate them. It's all part of it. So the assembly is aware. They are aware. I have the letter. They are aware of this. So Randy, this is at the roadside. Again, I'm not attacking anybody, but you see, let us, the council say, fatu baby at the end, and let's be honest. Minerals Commission is not perfect. We still have a lot of issues we are addressing. I admit that. But then, that kind of activity by the roadside, are you telling me that the MC did not see it?
So that's this?
Yes. So this is what I'm talking about.
This is the Konongo-Kumasi highway. And this is illegal mining.
This is illegal mining.
On the shoulder of the highway.
Yes, and the Minerals Commission officer has reported this formally to the district assembly. Formally. That I've seen this, it's illegal. With no license.
The brazenness is something else.
No, but you see, the assemblies are not helping us. And I see two types. Some of these things will not happen in some areas. Okay? Some district chief executive will act. So I'm asking whether the assembly did not see this.
But you've confirmed that they were notified.
The officer has done his job. You understand? Because I'm getting messages, I'm getting the flag, and I need to explain to the nation how the system works. This is happening in the district assembly. Because I'm a chief, Randy. If this is happening in Biakuya district, you understand that? If this is happening in Biakuya district, okay? Two things. The DC chief executive for Biakuya and OT region will be notified. And then myself as a chief will be notified. Do you understand that? Yes. So let nobody blame Minerals Commission for this. The officer has done his job and I'll defend him. Anytime, any day. Let me repeat. The Minerals Commission district officer in Konongo has done his job. This came to his attention. He picked the intelligence. He formally reported to the assembly. We're given a copy. I asked him for it. He's done his job. Pure and simple. Somebody else will have to take it from there. So the commission, the Minerals Commission, cannot be responsible for this embarrassing situation. You understand that? So there, of course, there's an assembly. I mean, look at this. If it is in some dense jungle, some bush somewhere, and some other areas, I can understand. Do you understand that? Because there are some areas that are inaccessible. You know, if it's some forest reserve, some national park, etc. But if this has been picked by the officer in Konongo and reported, and for some reason the assembly didn't ask, I think I can absorb Minerals Commission of any blame. This has nothing to do with government. You understand that? This has nothing to do with government. This has nothing to do with the minister. It has nothing to do with the Minerals Commission. We did our job. The assembly was told. You understand that? And who has the security situation at every district? It's the DC. They are the head of DISEC or MUSEC. They must take action. You understand? I'll be the first to admit that, Randy, this one, we made a mistake. It's our fault. The officer has not done his job, or Minerals Commission takes responsibility. But I won't take responsibility for
this particular one.
I'm standing on radio. People are hearing us. I'm on national television. 35 million Ghanaians are listening. The Minerals Commission officer in Konongo has done his work. I won't take responsibility for this. The assembly should take responsibility. This is not MPP government. This is not the government. This is not what the president is talking about. It's the assembly that did not do this work.
Interestingly, the DC is an appointee of the president.
Don't leave that. The same way, if I made a mistake, I'll be fired by the president or my minister.
Yes.
But I just want the public to know that we have done our work.
Yes. As the regulator.
Yes, as regulator, we did our work. And it ends there. Somebody must also take it from there. You understand?
So what's going to happen?
If you report of a crime here.
So what are you going to do now?
Hang on. If you report of a crime here, we'll do a follow-up again. You see, if you report of a crime here, it is a responsibility of the police. Or if there is fire outbreak here, you call the fire service.
But I have a problem.
So
this is
just
not
hang on. So if for 1 hour, 2 hours, the fire service doesn't get here, then somebody somewhere must explain why it took fire service 2 hours to get here. If you could have taken them, perhaps if they had even come in 20 minutes, this could be resolved. And this was not dark overnight.
That's why I said that I have a difficulty.
What is the difficulty?
My difficulty is that our security apparatus is one of the most decentralized. You have BNI, National Security, the police service, all of them operating in these areas, and especially because of the mining operations and Galamsey and all that. How come this thing can happen? And it's not overnight, like you said. How can this thing happen? And then the brazenness that now this is the highway, the Accra Kumasi highway.
So let me tell you something.
It's about some 15 inches to the asphalt.
This one like this, it tells you they work midnight.
Yes.
Okay, midnight. And I don't know who put those yellow and red stuff there, but I'm not a geologist. I'm not a geotechnical engineer. I'm not a civil engineer, so I cannot pretend. I don't know the makeup of the soil there. You don't know whether, if, for example, that pit is covered with water, heavy rain, and then with time, what will happen is that you don't know the nature of the soil. It could seep, and then before I realize it's affecting the road.
Yes.
You see,
yes.
As for this one, I may have to be heard on television and say that the assembly should take responsibility for this mess.
All right. Let's end on this sad note. But next week we will be looking at the figures, the half-year figures, and compare it to the previous year. And I'm sure that by that time we'll have an update on this as well.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you. Thank you very much. And up next, Metro Sports.
Okay.